Sleepy town settling for the night, where every lawn is tailored just right, and it's about time that the back porch light comes on. At that house down the street, at that house on Magnolia Street.
We are on the doorstep of the best time of the year.
Yeah,
Can you feel it?
I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Feeling it. I can tell you're feeling it.
I'm feeling
Okay,
it.
look at my notes. Yeah, it's been feeling good. All yesterday into today, gloomy, rainy, leaves on the street, which is kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
But so it's a vibe.
Oh, 100%. This morning I woke up. Well, first of all, I woke up scared to fuck up of my life because I thought I heard a cat coughing or choking on something.
Oh.
And it scared me awake, and I jumped up and I was like, Puggy, Puggy, Puggy.
Of course it's him.
Because Coraline was sleeping next to me, so I know it wasn't her. But I was like, Puggy! And I think it was Avi in the bathroom once I woke up. But then he was like, no, that was definitely Punky.
Oh.
But I was like, I don't know what it was. But then it was really, really gloomy, and I still had my battery operated candle. They do the whole pulse glowing like the real candles,
Love
right?
that, yeah.
I had those on my table next to me, so I woke up to that, and it was kind of like a gloomy morning.
Ooh.
And guess what was on TV when I woke up? Because I fall asleep sometimes with the TV on.
Hocus Pocus.
No. Old 1931 Dracula.
Shut up.
And I woke up to this image. I was going to send this to you this morning, but then I forgot. Look at this.
Ooh, he can charm me.
That's what I woke up to. I was like, oh my God, that's so scary. And his face was on the screen for 5 minutes. I was like, oh my God, that's horrifying.
I've never seen
Really?
any of the Draculas.
Really?
I've seen the Dead and Loving It with Leslie Nielsen, by far the best. But I need Nosferatu. I didn't see the one with Winona Ryder and whatever his name is.
Oh, Anthony Hopkins.
I don't know, but he could be in it. I've never watched it, but
yeah,
I want to. It's spooky season. There's a channel on our smart TV. It's just monster, old monster movies.
That's awesome.
Flicking that on now and again.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think of the museum that you took me to. That was so cool. And of all things we saw there, Griffin done, not in person.
And that's another thing I forgot to tell you. Last night, me and Avi watched American Werewolf in London. Yeah, American Werewolf in London. And I said to Avi, I was like, do you know who that is? He was like, who is? I was like, that guy. Do you know who that is? He was like, who's that? I was like, Griffin Dunn. He was like, who's Griffin Dunn? I was like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. He was hurting my soul.
Oh, my Lanta. That's so funny.
Yeah. So we watched that movie, and I never saw the entire thing. I've only seen clips of it. So it was good to finally watch the thing in its entirety. So.
Yeah, I loved that music. That was so cool.
Yeah, it was a good movie. It was 1980s horror comedy, really quirky, really fun. So I enjoyed it.
Griffin.
Yeah, classic Griffin, exactly. Yeah. So hey, witch, hey.
Hey, witch, hey. I'm Kristina.
I'm Justina. Welcome to Magnolia Street,
where you want and only musically inspired, practice magic in a podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a beat and then I lost it.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about something that it has so many tendrils. We were like, we're gonna do one at a time, and then we have a special guest later on in the show that we kind of learned that each individual thing kind of can meld itself into another. So why don't you tell our folks what we do here on this show before we tell them what we're talking about?
Yeah, sorry, I jumped the gun.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm just so excited to talk about this.
It's a really cool topic.
It is a really cool topic. So, but yes, every week we deep dive on different aspects of the movie and the books, as well as treat your ears to our very own practical magic inspired original music. And so by the time this episode comes out, we will be about a month and some days away from Samhain, All Hallows Eve, and this really is our favorite time of year. And like we wrote in our song All Hallows Eve, the air is crisp, the veil is thin, and with that thinning veil, some of you might be noticing a bit of an increase in, let's say, malevolent forces.
Totally. Yeah, seriously, as this veil thins, and Samhain isn't the only time this occurs, but it feels as if maybe messages, signs, synchronicities are coming in a little more frequently and maybe even a little bit stronger. And I think most of us like to consider ourselves having a little touch of the ESPN or something. So this week we wanted to explore the world of the Clairs. Now, this may sound like a group of mean girls at your high school, but the word clair translates from French, I believe, to clear.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Clairs like clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience. I think there are 9 altogether.
Eclair?
Claire, like the store?
No, like eclair, like the
Oh,
dessert.
like in eclair.
Yeah, eclairs.
Yeah. So we were going to do, this was going to be clairvoyance just as its own episode. And as y'all have learned, Justina and I over the last 2 years, we just kind of blow things up. And now with the help of Christa, our researcher, the initial notes ended up being like 77 pages.
It's crazy.
It's amazing. So we all agreed that this juicy topic, we wanted to give them their standalone individual spotlights. So this one's going to be like an overview of the Clairs, and then each one will get its own highlight. And our guest is going to be Christa Rimmer, because she is somebody Justina has known for a few years, and she is just with the information about this gift.
Actually, now that I think about it, I took that tarot course, I believe in 2014. It's
10 years ago.
We've known each other for 10 years.
Happy anniversary.
So that's crazy to me. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So we're just gonna give a little bit of a rundown on like what all the Clairs are, right? Because there's different ones, and different ones kind of hold different kinds of superpowers, if you want to, that's how you want to describe them. So as far as practical magic goes and how the Clairs kind of correspond with the story, the Owens women, as well as Vincent, they all exhibit these gifts, right? And like us, they don't just have one. They may have a gift or 2 or 3 of these. Even though there are nine Clairs, today we are going to dive into the books and the movie to focus on the most common ones, right? The most commonly known Clairs. So first and foremost, the most common one that we hear time and time again in all pop culture, I think there's a show called Medium. There's like Ghost Whisperer, like when
That's so Raven.
Exactly, when the main character has like flashes, and even Prue from Charmed? Phoebe from Charmed. Yeah. And then you said Ghost, the movie?
You were talking about this show a while ago, and she like sees like dead people, and her husband ends up passing away.
Ghost Whisperer, yeah, with Jennifer Love Hewitt. Yeah, love that show. And that's Christa, yeah. And that show as well has instances of body jumping. Yes. Really Zane. Yeah. So this first and foremost one that we're going to talk about is clairvoyance, and that means clear seeing. And this is what happens in around your third eye, right? Your third eye is your 6th chakra. It is where we experience clairvoyance, and it is between the anatomical eyes.
My question is, does this include dreams? Because it's your subconscious and you're seeing it in your mind's eye. So to me, I'm wrapping dream prophecies into clairvoyance, maybe because you're seeing a visual of it happening.
Right. I would like to believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I have actually an instance that happened like 2 nights ago.
Ooh, I love
that I'll talk about in a little bit when we get to our our experiences. So the next one on this list is clairaudience, and that is a clear hearing. This is messages in your ears. Also, clairaudience, people experience clairaudience differently. So for me, I feel like out of all of the Clairs, I experience clairaudience the most. And I was saying this to Christa when we interviewed her earlier. Maybe that's because I'm a songwriter and like I generate lyrics somehow, but I have had instances where I'm trying to fall asleep and there's static and I hear random voices and I can't go to sleep. And sometimes I'm like, shut the fuck up. And sometimes you just hear it in your head. You don't always hear it as a voice in your ear. I know Christa said she hears it on her, like, I don't forget if it was her left or her right shoulder, but she hears it whispering or like in her actual ear in her own voice. I tend to hear it in other voices. in
Yes.
my head though, not like somebody's whispering it in my ear, which is good because if I felt somebody whispering in my ear, I think I would flip the fuck out.
I would flip the fuck out. I totally agree with what your theory is about you being a songwriter. And we've talked
Yeah.
about probably in our song episodes, it being the muses
Yeah.
coming and channeling into you, into your
Yeah.
brain. And that can be, it can be scary, right? It's, to me, it's like a radio. It's almost like somebody turning a dial and it's like,
Yeah.
it's very frustrating when
It's
you're like not sure what's going on.
it is wild to experience that for sure. And like a lot of the time when I'm not songwriting, because songwriting it's like I'm turning that switch on, I'm letting the muses in. I'm like, I can control it. When I'm sleeping at night and like, office hours are closed and they're still like, wanting to tell me things, I don't know what the fuck some of it means half the time. I'm like,
Have to write it down because
yeah,
I have two things I've only ever written down
yeah.
and they're funny as shit. I don't know what they mean, but just write it, keep a little notepad next to your bed.
I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to start doing that. Yeah, and I noticed that I think it was the first year that we started the podcast. Not so much last year because we had a lot going on with the music and we were really busy and stuff. But the first year I remember specifically a lot of chatter going on,
Yeah.
more so around September, October, around the thinning of the veil. And then once Samhain passed, it kind of died down. It kind of stopped a little bit. So I don't know if the thinning of the veil had anything to do with it, which is really interesting.
We were stirring up a lot of energy too, with our
Yeah.
project. Do you remember anything that was
I'm sure if we go back into the archives and like we listen to some of our earlier episodes, I might have even talked about it because it was happening around that time. But I don't remember anything off the top of my head like that sticks out. But yeah, I do remember it happening around then and it was really weird. I was like, what are these voices?
Do you ever get different languages, like or dream in different languages?
I can't think of off the top of my head, but I
Okay.
do have very vivid dreams.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
very
you
vivid.
do you have any, and as Aaron calls them, energies beside your bed? Any crystals or stones for dream work beside your bed?
I work a lot with amethyst. I'm trying to think of what else I usually just like have laying around, like selenite. I love my rose quartz, but I don't know if you would necessarily consider that for like dream work or anything like that.
Mhm.
I like to stick with like the purples and blues for any
Yeah.
kind of like dream work.
Oh, yeah. Definitely higher chakra colors.
Yeah. So the next one after that is Clairsentience, and this is a clear feeling. So that's kind of like when you feel sensations in your body that match something that is going on in your life, or maybe someone you know. Maybe you even walk into a room and feel a vibe, like, and it's like the vibe is off, and you could feel
You've
that.
experienced this, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the story you're going to share again later.
Yeah. So clairsentience is also something that, I'm kind of familiar with. Claircognizance is a clear knowing. That's when you just know something to be true. Even if you didn't see it happen, you don't hear it, you don't feel it, you just know it for no other reason other than this message came to you and you just are made aware of something. Who knows where that came from. Clairaudience means clear smelling, which Krista talked a little bit about. She smelled smoke, right?
Mhm.
From
Mhm.
an entity named Marcus.
Marcus.
Marcus was on his smoke break and she picked that up. Yeah.
So the
Um,
next four, give me your opinion because I found four more and I was like, these kind of sound like they could be interchangeable with some of the other ones. Are they just
okay.
making this shit up? Let me know
Okay.
your opinion.
Yeah, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. So this one says clear intellect, which in parentheses it says clear thinking, but I would think that falls in line with clear cognizance. It's like a clear
Yeah.
knowing, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe those can be interchangeable. I'm not really sure where those differ though. I don't know enough about the two to figure that out. But maybe we can ask Krista next time we chat with her,
Okay.
what if she knows a difference. But she's experienced, it seems like she experiences a lot of the different ones interchangeably or together in
Yeah.
tandem. So who knows? Clear empathy is a clear sense of an emotional feeling. So, for example, being able to detect psychic information through your emotions or maybe through somebody else's emotions.
So is this like picking up on somebody's like shitty attitude as soon as you walk in a room kind of thing?
I would like to think so, but then at the same time, would that fall in line with clairsentience? So I kind of see what you're saying there as far as like some of them might be categorized as, you know, the same as the other ones. So I don't know. I would because yeah, clairsentience is like a clear feeling. Clear empathy is also a feeling, but maybe more of an emotional feeling. So
Yes.
maybe clairsentience is more like I was telling you, like I felt a heart attack or somebody else's heart attack or somebody else's physical pain. Clear empathy, maybe it's more so you're feeling their emotional stress, emotional pain. So
You're
maybe
smart.
that's where the two maybe differentiate. Then clairtangency is a clear sense of touch. So for example, being able to detect psychic information through your hands. In parentheses, it says psychometry.
Yeah, psychometry is, I think we talked about this, what I don't even know what episode, but I took a mediumship class and I found out that I can kind of do this. And I don't think he was like trying to coddle me or pamper me, but like we were given things of his and just told to get a sense of and just say whatever came to your mind, just like Krista's, we're going to hear her say later, whatever's coming to your mind, it doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
And it was like on point.
Wow.
I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Haven't done it since then. But I think, if you go to any metaphysical shop, like how do you choose a crystal, right?
Right.
Usually you'll feel the energy. You'll put your hand on A and B and you'll feel which one's calling to you more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We've all done that. So yeah, I could see that. Also, I'm wondering if clairtangency also means like kind of like the other way around. Like when you're able to feel a spirit touch you.
Ooh, maybe, yeah.
I wonder if they're interchangeable like that or if that's something else.
Mm.
And then we have clairgustance, which we were laughing about this one, is a clear sense of taste, being able to orally detect psychic information. So for example, like if somebody died via drowning in the ocean, maybe you taste seaweed or something like that.
Salt water. Oh,
Salt water, yeah.
I don't know. That would be hard
Wouldn't, yeah.
to live with, I mean.
Right, yeah, you're like enjoying your favorite ice cream and you're like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't want to be tasting this seaweed shit while I'm trying to enjoy my chocolate chip mint. Like, So I could definitely see how that one would be annoying. But like I feel like they could all be annoying in their own way, right? It's kind of just like spirit world nagging at you through your senses.
Yeah. That would be so frustrating to be a spirit and just not, as somebody who feels like they're not heard a lot of the time in this life, physical life.
Yeah.
Oh God, I can't imagine trying to scream as a ghost, get my message across.
Right, yeah. And yeah, I'm sure that's frustrating. And we'll talk a little bit later with Krista on how she kind of helps spirits pass on who are, sometimes frustrated, confused, will attach themselves to living beings because they don't want to cross over. Exactly. Yeah. So we'll talk to her a little bit later on. So those are just a few of the more common ones. So of course we're gonna take you guys through some of the examples in the movie and the books. So I guess now before we dive into our interview with Krista, it might be cool to talk about our own experiences a little bit on, any of the clairs that we might possess.
Yeah, real good. Let's do we want to hit on some of the movie, because you and I were putting together a list of like stuff that just stuck out to us in the movie, and I'd put things in and Justina kind of went in and you were like, this is kind of more like this clair or this clair, because again, this was just going to be clairvoyance, but this is a perfect time, I think, to highlight what we saw in the movie. Well, at the beginning, I don't know if it'll make it in, but you heard us say, get the bird, get the book. And that's probably a most famous line in the film by the aunts, at least. And this is the first glimpse that we get of the aunts, quote, knowing. And as viewers, we don't know if Irene, the woman at the back door, has been to this house before for any love magic. But as Justina likes to say, that Irene has no chill in this scene. And the aunts just know shit is about to hit the fan for this woman who has been asking for something she has no grasp of what the consequences might be, And I think, like Justina, I think you wrote that this falls into claircognizance, the clear knowing, right?
Yeah. And I almost want to believe that maybe it wasn't even really claircognizance or like anything special. Maybe like knowing how desperate this woman is, she probably comes to this back door time and time and time and time again. They didn't really even have to like look up to see who it was to know that it was her.
Probably, yeah. What if that's not the like first picture of a guy she's brought? Like
it's a different one every time.
Yeah, totally. She has no chill.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. And maybe, do you think the aunts, maybe they do like not even a love spell. Maybe they do something else to like have the guy just like pack his bags, move out of town, and get as far away from her as possible because they know she's a basket case. Yeah, that's why she keeps coming back, because they keep sending her men away to save them from her.
They got to keep making that coin, return customer.
That's right. I mean, yeah. What do they say? You provide a problem and the solution. You sell the problem and then you sell the solution. Or you cause the problem and sell the solution.
They do cause the problem. The whole movie is their fault.
Yeah, it's like those chips from like the 90s that like caused anal leakage, and then the same company was selling the anal leakage medicine.
What?
You never heard about
that? What are these chips?
Yeah, there was a company that would sell potato chips. Very small print on the back of the bag. It would say, "May cause anal leakage."
What?
And then the same company, would sell the medicine to solve the anal leakage.
Are they still in business?
No, I don't think so. I hope not.
Now known as Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Or those Takis that these kids are eating nowadays.
The blue ones.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we're going on a tangent, but
we can alternate. You can go ahead.
Yeah. So the next one is when they're sitting on the front porch playing. What are they playing? Backgammon or something? Yeah. And Jet goes, "What time is it?" Right? Jet asks Franny, and then Franny responds, "Any moment now." And Kristina said, "I feel both of them know that the bell is about to strike and that their spell will be in motion."
I have a friend who is almost spot on every time when you're like, "What time is it?" And he's like, probably like 3:46. I don't know. And it is.
Wow.
Every time. It's wild.
That's wild.
What I feel was going on there. They're like,
yeah.
"In it now."
Yeah. And going back to like the spirit numbers, I always, never fails, I always look at the clock right on 444. Yeah. And I always send you my screenshots.
I think in your phone notes, you should just keep a track of the dates, because it would be amazing to see how frequently it happens.
Maybe I win the lottery.
You are in the car a lot as a nanny. You drive a lot. So I know like you're always trying to be at the right place at the right time too.
Right. And it's so funny too now, like the 9-year-old that I nanny, every time she sees it, she's like, "Justina, look, it's 444.
Oh, precious girl.
Yeah, she acknowledges the 444. And her mom actually asked me what my necklace meant the other day, because she said she was at Disney World. They just went to Disney World like a couple weeks ago. And she told me, she was like, "Can I ask you, what does the 444 on your necklace mean? Because I saw like 2 people walking around with it in Disney World. Not a necklace, but like," she's like, "I saw 2 people like with like 444 t-shirt or something with 444 in Disney World. Like, what does that mean?" And I was like, "Well, I could tell you what it means for me. It might mean different things to other people because they're like spirit numbers or angel numbers. They're the numbers of my angel guides, and this is how they show up for me." So I kind of explained the whole thing, and she's like, "Wow, that's really cool. Like, I had no idea." But yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. She's super like into all that stuff.
You made a new friend.
Yeah, the 9-year-old. She took me to a new age shop that her mom goes to. She's actually friends with the owner.
I love that. What?
Yeah. She's friends with the owner, and she took me. She's like, "Oh, you got to check out the Curious Heart." She's like,
"That's so cute."
So we went, and her mom actually went to like a sound bath healing ritual thing there or something like that. And I was like, "These are my people."
Oh, what a like serendipitous,
right?
Unity.
It was just, and I also find it very strange how the whole situation came to be, and how like it was supposed to be a temporary situation, but now I'm still there for whatever powers that be designed it to end up that way. But I'm like, I guess I'm where I'm supposed to be.
There are no coincidences.
There are no coincidences. And that's what I told her when, we were finished talking about the 444. I was like, it's when I know my spirit guides are talking to me, and I truly believe there are no coincidences. Yeah, so it's almost like the 444 type deal when Jet and Franny are waiting for that clock to strike, and they're,
I love how giddy Jet is. She's like, she's just on the edge of her seat.
Right.
Right. Like, what time is it? And Franny's the patient one. Yeah. It's really cute.
She's like, "In due time, it'll happen. Just wait."
And then the next one is when Sally is posting her letter in the mail, and the phone rings, and Aunt Jet is coming down the stairs, and she says, "It's Jillian." And both Jet and Sally know that Jillian is calling before she even picks up the phone. Right. So this is a claircognizance, recognition.
Right. You've had this before. I think you've told me, right?
Yes. Yeah, I have had this before. Not lately.
Right. Of picking up the phone, like knowing who it was before.
Yes.
Up the
Yep.
phone.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's so creepy when that happens. And also, like, when you're humming a song and then you put the radio on and it's like on
There it
and you're like,
is.
oh my God.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It
Sometimes
picks
we
that
do
one.
it without even knowing or without even trying. It's like,
Or
yeah,
like a parking lot violinist.
that's right.
Just weird
Dude,
timing.
that was the craziest. I don't even know if you call it a synchronicity now that we know the whole thing was a scam. I
Right.
still think it was very strange that we both saw one on the same day.
That was it. The same day. That
Yeah, crazy. And we're in both completely different states, which is
yeah.
blows my mind. So the next one is Kylie, right? In the movie and in the books. So Kylie can see Jimmy and she can sense his presence. And in Sudbury, that one-off episode that we did that commentary on, she literally goes outside and talks to him. She could talk to him. She could see him. It's almost she could probably reach out and touch him at that point if she wanted to. But yeah, so I would consider this more clairvoyance and clairsentience because it's like she can see and feel him.
Totally. I totally
Yeah.
agree with that.
And also she sees auras. So I don't know if that's a whole other Claire. Like Claire aura ins? I don't know.
We have auras on our calendar at some point coming up here
Yeah.
because one of our
Yeah.
patrons requested it, and I can't wait to get into it because
That's
we
right.
got to have our auras read. We're getting off topic.
Yeah. Amber, our patron Amber actually suggested that one at the end of our patron, was it the August patron special we talked to her?
Yeah. I
So
think
we
you're right.
asked her, what topics would you like to see? And she wants to hear the auras. So we're going to do that. We have it on our list coming up. So we're going to get to that. And I can't wait to dive into that because yes, we did have our auras read, me and Christina, in Salem,
Yes.
right?
Together.
Together.
This next one, you could look at it maybe as a superstition, but we're gonna just go with it. And that's Broomville. Company's coming. And all of the women react. And then the aunts just fucking leave. They just leave
Right.
because that's apparently no joke. But then again, Sally was like, we had a problem, we handled it. And the aunts are like, well, fuck, bye bye, handle it yourselves. I always heard, and today I dropped a fork. When a fork drops, company's coming also. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
oh, nobody's supposed to show up until later today. But company was supposed to check in at the inn that day, which is funny.
Oh, yeah, that is funny. What does it mean when an umbrella falls?
Ooh, I don't know. Look that
Rain
up.
is coming. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't see this on the list, but snowballing off of Broomfield Company's coming. What about when they come back? They
Oh,
had
their timing.
their timing. Yeah. It was impeccable. They said that oh, our instincts are getting a little rusty, but if you think about it, they showed up at the right time because if Sally didn't have the aunts to kind of put her in her place when they did, who knows where that night would have gone if she didn't have that help.
Exactly. Like, would Jillian even still be with them?
Right. Right. Yeah. And I think the aunts are kind of like our instincts are getting a little rusty because they showed up and the shit was still hitting the fan and they wanted no part of it. And they got roped into it they didn't want to be roped into it. They clearly wanted unwittingly. Yeah, they wanted the girls to figure out for themselves, but I think that they knew when they showed up, when they did, that these girls they were into
Out of hand.
They could not fix this shit. And once they saw Jillian's like eyes rolling in the back of her head, like, and the yarn, the whole like armoire of yarn all over the floor,
sweating puddles.
Right? They're like, oh shit, yeah, we probably should help out here.
Fucked up.
We shouldn't have left. Yeah,
I love this movie so much.
I know.
All right, so an example of Clairaudience in this movie is when Sally is walking back to the Owens house after she and Gary have that conversation at the B&B and she gives her testimony and then she hears her girls saying mommy and and then the music drops, she starts running. Even Gary knows because the music's probably playing in his head because he's got clairaudience.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right though. Yeah, Gary, we've talked about this before. Gary has a touch of the clairaudience. He can literally hear Sally's call a mile away, even 3,000 miles away. We talked about, right? And he did just that when he ran up to the attic, guns a-blazing, to save the day when Jimmy was possessing Jillian for the first time that we see in the movie, right?
Yeah.
So Gary can hear things, Sally can hear things, and maybe that's why they're so in tune with each other. Maybe Sally even kind of like designed him that way, because I mean, she did this Almas Vanitas love spell. She put into that spell, he will hear my call a mile away.
Right.
So she was wishing for a guy who maybe had some abilities as well, that would understand her.
And acknowledge that he has those and listen to his head, heart, and gut.
That's right. Yeah. And that's what makes Gary, I guess, such a romantic guy, because he's so romantic. He's so romantic. He got all the qualities. Right? Yeah.
Stop.
It's like Mushfest 2000 over
I
here.
know.
Yeah. And then also one more I would just like to add at the end of the film, after Sally summons the phone tree ladies and they all come over and talk about how they have all had a witchy experience in their lives. Jet declares that there's a little witch in every woman. And in the scene, Linda Bennett.
Let's clean house.
Which,
Bennett, what?
That name's going to come up again later on. Chills.
Yeah.
Right?
You're going to hear our like in the moment reactions to the Linda Bennett.
Yeah, Linda Bennett's going to come full circle in this episode. Just wait for that. But yeah, Linda Bennett, a character in the movie, tells us how one time she heard her daughter crying all the way across town.
Yeah.
So there really is a little witch in not every woman, every person, everybody has that intuitive thing about them. And that first, like Stevie said, would you trust that first initial feeling?
Absolutely. And I think as a mom, like people who have shared their body and fed their offspring, and they have just this crazy connection. Go listen to our placenta episode, guys.
Right.
Like that connection between mother and child, like you can just tell. And we're not even getting into like the connection between twins.
Right. Not even twins. I think siblings in general, right? Because you shared a womb, no matter like if you're a twin or not. Me and my brother, we're more like twins than I feel like we're not. We're like 2 years apart, but we can like finish each other's sentences. And when me and my brother are in the same room with my mom, she's like, I don't know what language you guys are speaking.
I hope I get to meet him someday.
You would love him. He's a fucking trip. He's like me, but like more dry and sarcastic. Like I am kind of more animated and like in your face. Like he'll say something completely like, dead face. Hey, like dead face, and you don't know if he's joking or not, but like he's joking. He's just an asshole about it.
No, he's not met him before.
He's not mean.
I was on a Zoom call with him when we were doing our music. Do you remember that? We sat down with him to talk about like our project funding campaign.
Oh yeah, briefly. Yeah.
So I have met him a little bit.
Kind of, yeah. But like if you're just like shooting the shit with him, like he's totally dry, deadpan face. You don't know if he's joking or not, but he's totally joking. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to know, tell me how you know Christa, and then I want to know your Claire experiences.
All right. So me and Christa actually met, like I said before, 2014. It's been about 10 years since we've known each other. We met through a tarot workshop online through a woman named Kristen Burkhart Hansen. I forget I think it was just called Tarot 101 or something. And it was really weird how I actually found this course, okay? Because if we want to go back to like the root of all of this was 2014. I was approaching my Saturn return. I think I just turned 30. I would just turn 31 or something. And I was, coming out of my 20s, kind of craving some kind of spirituality, going back to my roots, like the things that I was interested in as a teenager that I didn't feel cool kind of like pursuing in my 20s because I was too busy partying and socializing and like,
yeah,
all that stuff becomes uncool at a certain point. But when you become an adult and you're thrust into reality after like college and like, marriage and all that, and you kind of have to get down to the nitty gritty of like, who am I?
Yeah. And the responsibilities start building up.
Yes.
And you need a way to cope with those.
Yes. And my Saturn return was a little messy.
I've heard.
It was like, not like drugs or alcohol or anything like that, just like internally, like emotionally. I was dealing with a lot of internal conflict of like, I'm not landing where I wanted to with my music career. Without my music, who am I? And like, I was hitting all sorts of like dead ends and like, I didn't fucking know. So I was kind of like in that place where like I didn't really know where I was going, more so spiritually than anything else, because I was feeling a pull back toward my spirituality and like, witchcraft and all the stuff that I grew up loving and pursuing.
I have a question between you kind of falling away from Christianity and then like the bubble of your 20s and like partying and shit and then coming back. Was there like a little blip of spirituality in between there somewhere?
I mean, I'm sure there were times like I would walk into a metaphysical shop or like I would flip through a book or like journal or write songs. I feel like writing songs for me, because like if you think about it, all of my songs were written. I learned how to play the guitar and write music when I was 18. From the time I was 18 till 30, I, was pursuing music very heavily all throughout my 20s. So music for me was my spirituality.
Religion. Yeah.
It literally was my religion. If you flip through all of my journals, like those were my innermost feelings and thoughts, and like even songs like Nobody Has Heard, like
it's your confession.
Exactly. So I feel like that's kind of where I went spiritually in my 20s. Like that's how I practiced my spirituality. Not necessarily like, oh, spells and, rituals and the wheel of the year. Right. Like I wasn't pursuing it in that realm at that point. So once I emerged out of my 20s and I kind of lost connection with my music because I feel like it had let me down in a lot of ways, I veered more back toward the root, like my core spirituality, and trying to develop my intuition in other ways. Because like, as I said, my music was kind of like my clairaudience. And now I kind of wanted to dive more into like my claircognizance, my clairsentience, and like all that other stuff that I was kind of brushing under the rug while pursuing music for so long. So I was looking for a mentor, a spiritual mentor. And I put that out into the universe. And I remember where I was, I lived with my parents before I was married. And I think I was back from LA at that point. This was 2014. So I was like still living at home, and I was sitting there on the couch, and I was working a shit job, shit pay. I think like I just got a new car with a little bit of savings that I had because like my other car shit the bed, and I was just like in a weird in between funk kind of place. So I was like, I really need a spiritual mentor if I'm gonna do this. If I'm gonna pursue my spirituality the way that I feel called to, I need some kind of guidance, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
You know your limitations.
Exactly. So I was like, I'm gonna call out to a mentor. I'm going to put it out in the universe. I need somebody to guide me through all this. So that's literally, I Googled how to find a mentor. Articles for
how to find a mentor.
Yeah. I don't remember if I said how or where, but I Googled how or where to find a mentor. And the first article that popped up was like Forbes magazine. And it was like some kind of like, had like business mentor. And I was like, no, that's not what I want. I mean, it'd be great to like have a business mentor and like make $1 million, but that's not what I need right now. Like I'm starting from the inside, and then I can, work my way to that point. But right now I need a spiritual mentor, somebody that can kind of like pull me through the muck. Somebody like right after I searched that, it was really weird. I got a ping on my phone, and there was an app back then called Periscope. Do you remember Periscope?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Periscope. Somebody sent me an invitation on Periscope to tune in to a live tarot session.
Cool.
Okay. I tuned in, and it was this woman, Kristen Burkhart Hansen. She was doing live readings, like free readings for anybody who popped in their question, blah, blah, blah. And why did I get this ping all of a sudden after I just searched how to find a mentor? Within the same like 5 minutes, literally.
Wow. That's quick turnaround.
I was like, what? Yes? Somebody listening?
Wow. 4
Right. So, and this was actually, no, I think I was like doing the 444 at that point. Like fours were starting to like make their appearance to me since I want to say 2012. So this was a little after that. So, so I'm like watching her, and after she's about to close her session, she's like, by the way, I'm opening a tarot program, a sponsorship program. Send your information, or like if you can come up with like a 1-minute video on why you should get this scholarship to my program, free scholarship. Just submit your video on why you deserve the scholarship, and if we like your video, we'll get back to you, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I did. I went in my backyard, and I set up my camera, and I put on my little, my red lipstick, and I filmed this little testimonial video on who I am, how old I am, where I am in life, why I feel stuck, why I need this spiritual guidance. And when things just seem like effortless,
like a little too easy.
A little too easy.
Yes.
So that's like when the universe, it's supposed to be, things will come to you so effortlessly, you won't feel like you're climbing an uphill battle. Like it'll just attach to you.
It was like our first Boston trip and my first trip to Salem. How we be doing that?
It was just so effortless, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that. Like I made my video, I submitted it literally with, I think the same day. She responded back, I love your video. I would love to offer you a scholarship to my program. And that was the Tarot 101 program. And I think it was like a 3-month intensive course. And she taught tarot intuitively. And what that means is that she doesn't really go by book meanings. And yeah, like she taught us some keywords for each card, but for the most part, like she took us through like the card system, like the court cards, the pip cards, all the major arcana, the minor arcana. She took us through the entire tarot deck and the system that it is, and kind of like taught us how to look at the card, look at the landscape, look at the colors, look at what feelings do the card emote to you, what symbols do you see on the cards, how do you use different cards in tandem with each other to deliver a reading. Like she covered it all. After the class was over, we would submit our questions, she would answer any questions we had, and it was just a very cool experience. And I met a few people through there who I still talk to this day, and Christa happens to be one of them. So yeah, so every week we would focus on a different thing, and it was really cool because it kind of like gave you time to marinate on what you just learned and then apply it. I don't know if I have my tarot notebook.
I remember listening to some of your readings you would do on your YouTube, and I'm like, it just felt like so fluid and effortless. And I was like, dang, how'd you do that? I was very impressed. It was great.
She was really, really
good instructor.
Good. Yeah.
So Christa was one of those 10 people. And so how did you like connect afterward or keep that connection?
So with the tarot course came a Facebook community, right? So that's how a lot of like tarot or any kind of person who's running a course online, if you have a community in like a Facebook or a Discord where you can keep in contact with your students, and as a student keep in contact with your teacher, and then also you get to meet the community and the other people who are learning along with you, so you don't feel so alone, so it's really nice. So what Kristen would do is she would post, I don't know, every day she would post a tarot spread in the group, and then as students she would say, okay, now interpret this, and we would all put our own interpretations under that spread. And then we would talk, we would reply to each other's interpretations, and like we would get to know each other, and we would like,
That is like a really in-depth look at somebody's like psyche almost. Yeah. Seeing how somebody else responds to the same thing you're looking at.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like people don't realize how psychology based the tarot is, because
that's so cool.
If you look
Why
at
is that not a college course? That's so neat.
Well, psychology students learn about Carl Jung.
Yeah.
Right.
And the archetypes and all that.
And the archetypes. And basically learning the tarot is just like taking a walk through. And Carl Jung, I think he's the one who named it the Fool's Journey. Right. Mm-hmm. So you kind of take a walk through the Fool's Journey. And that's another thing that she taught in that course, was like taking a walk through the Fool's Journey, and like how the Fool goes along to each character in the major arcana and kind of like goes along on his journey until he reaches the world, the last card of the majors, which is like all encompassing, like all obtaining energy, right?
My mind goes to like, do we continuously take this fool's journey like every cycle of our lives?
Yeah, because if you think about your Saturn return, that's every 30 years. So you have a Saturn return when you turn 30, and you have one when you turn 60, and you have them when you turn 90. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it. There's a study that says every, I don't know, I think it's something as little as maybe every 10 years, like you shed
7 years,
you shed like cells
you're kind of like whole new being.
And then you become a whole new person. Like
I totally agree with that. There was like super big milestones at those 7-year points for me, at least. My Saturn return, I don't really remember, but for you, huge.
Yes. Yeah, pivotal. And maybe you won't have a huge one at 30, but maybe you'll have a huge one at 60. And maybe you don't have a huge one at 60, maybe at 90 when you're getting closer to death. Like, like there's so many milestones of life, and not all of them will hit, hard for some people, but maybe harder for others. And, we're all so different, but it's fascinating.
So did you and Christa work on anything together, or was she one of your patrons on Bohemian Magic? And what made you think of asking her to kind of help us and her talents here?
Right. So, through our tarot course, we would, DM each other on the side about course stuff and like class stuff, but like we would also chit chat and like, we would banter back and forth and like laugh about stupid things on the internet. But like also we did keep it pretty spiritual based. She would tell me about a lot of her experiences, and it's just like blew my mind, like what this woman can do with her her gifts. And I was just loved learning from her, and she's fascinating to me. And so then I started my Abrazine, my online magazine, I want to say around 2014, 2015. So then, when I was looking for contributors, I asked her to contribute because I knew she was also a writer and she likes to write, and she's also very creative, and she's also hilarious.
She's funny.
She's so fucking funny. So I asked her to be a part of that, and she, no hesitation, she jumped right on board. And through Abrazine, I've introduced her to I'm sure she's had conversations with my mom on Facebook. She's actually done sessions for my brother. She's found spiritual attachments on my brother. She's also read my brother when he's had many friends pass away. And I guess that's common when you live out in Hollywood, and there's a lot of drugs out there, a lot of loss out there, and it's really unfortunate. And like even some college friends of his that have passed away, unfortunately. And she's given him readings about stuff that's happened with them. And really, really, really freaky shit. Like she's on point.
I need to hire her because like y'all will hear today, we had a really awesome in-depth conversation, but I was at work. I had other things I had to get to, and I had to hop off, and we didn't even scratch the surface. So that's why we're making this a series, to have her return, because I think also because this is like her everyday, and she listens to every single thing, even if it doesn't make sense, and she delivers it, even if it doesn't make sense, a word, a feeling, a phrase. And so it sticks with her, and she can remember it to then tell us, which is amazing. Because some of this stuff, like I listed some of the shit that happened to me, but I think if I had shared it and was comfortable and trusted myself and believed in myself and was confident enough to share it with people, I would remember it better.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's what's so awesome about Christa, is that she is so open to like helping the newbie witch. Like
I love it.
She gives pointers, and she's like, it's nothing to be scared of. Like you just gotta know how to protect yourself. And she's all about like laying out the protection. Like,
even our conversation today, I'm like, I'm turning that radio back on, bitch. Like,
she's inspiring, right? She like makes you want to tune into your gifts more, because you could see all the stuff that she could do, and it's amazing.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's scary as fuck, but
it is. Yeah.
And it's very serious. Like it's not like, playing a Ouija board at a slumber party. Like
it is her every minute of every day.
Yeah, it's her life. It's her life. So
cool.
Yeah,
it was awesome getting to talk to her.
Yeah. So that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of how we, came to become friends. We've been friends so many years now, but it feels like we just met just yesterday. And like we could go like months or like a year without talking, and like it'll feel like we just like pick back up where we left off. And like her humor, like we're both kind of batshit when we have our conversations, but
somebody who's supposed to be in your life. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah, Christa is definitely somebody you want in your corner. Yeah, she's awesome. She's been a great support even to like our podcast, in my Bohemian Magic stuff. She has been a patron of mine.
You know what we didn't get to do with her in our interview was, unless you did after I got off, but how are people able to find her? Does she do this for a commission or a living, or as her job?
Right. I know she was taking clients for a while, and then I know she was dealing with the Bell's palsy thing, which she talks about in our interview with her later on. So she was dealing with that for a long time, and then once COVID hit, I think she was kind of like taking a step back from all that, because it was just too much at that point.
Yeah.
With the pandemic going on, and it's just like, you're opening yourself up to these
You're
entities.
already like
exactly. So
down.
She was already vulnerable, and like I think she might have had COVID at some point. So like your immune system is like already shot. Like you don't want to invite things in that like don't need to be. Yeah. So I don't know if she's currently taking clients, but I can ask her, and then we could plug her if if she's okay with that.
That's good. Good to me.
Yeah. So that was what she was doing for a while, I think. Yeah.
So tell me about your busy brain and your busy ears and your clairaudience and your knowing. Cause like, I'm sure you've had feelings of like, I don't want to take that exit today for some reason. And you go like a different direction. You don't know why. Instinct versus intuition kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, talk to me.
Yeah. Well, okay. So my clairaudience is more like the songwriting thing. When I'm in the shower, that's when I'm accepting my messages from the muses to give me the water, something about the water running. And like water is, it's the it's the cup suit. It's the water element. It's represents the intuition, your emotions. When you're songwriting, you're tuning into those emotions and you want to receive those messages so you can write some bomb ass lyrics.
That's right.
Right? So and melodies, and it's not just lyrics, it's also the melodies. How is it going to sound? And like we talked about this, if you listen to any of our song episodes, everybody, we talked about this a million times. So I'm not going to get too into the songwriting thing, but I feel like my clairaudience is more so like the songwriting thing is when it's more focused. When I'm in my dream state at night and I'm trying to go to sleep, sometimes I do hear that like that radio fuzz or like different voices coming in and out or saying a random word like cheesecake for no fucking reason. And I'm like, okay. I don't have any right now, but I would love some. So it's just like stuff, random shit. I'm sure there's instances that I just like, I can't pick out any specific one.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna definitely have to start writing them down because
And I'm wondering, because it sounds like there's like a lot coming in all at once. Can you like set an intention before bed, maybe even out loud? Like, I am open to receiving 5 messages tonight and just have that limit, because like trying to write down every random thing that comes through it, that you're never going to sleep, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
And we've talked previously in our exorcism episode about some clairs that have happened to you and Avi, your husband, in the past.
Yeah. So on our, I believe it was episode 49, season 1, right? Our exorcisms, ex-boyfriends, and hauntings episode. That episode is like 5 hours long.
Off the charts.
Off the charts. But there is some spooky shit in there, like stuff that has happened to me where I'm like, that's really weird. And I don't know if it's a coincidence, but again, are there coincidences? Like, I don't fucking know.
Your Clairsentience story connected with your grandmother.
Yeah.
Just, I've never heard, I guess I've never had anybody like firsthand tell me something like that. That was like painful. It sounded like it was very uncomfortable and scary for you.
It was horrifying. I thought I was going to die, first of all. Second of all, we knew my grandma didn't have much time, right? And I went to see her once in the time that she was toward the end, very, very sick. She was at home. Hospice was coming to, she lived with my uncle down in North Carolina, the one whose wedding we're going to in October. She lived with him and she kind of like just declined very, very fast. She was a smoker, so she had lung cancer. I didn't feel this with my grandfather, but I was 13 when he passed, so very young.
Younger.
Yeah, so maybe now like that I'm older and I'm feeling a call more toward my spirituality, maybe I'm just more receptive and more open to that stuff as an adult. Well, it was 2012 when she passed, so I was in my later 20s, so I was still, pre-Saturn return.
Yeah.
So that kind of contributed though to that whole spiral. Okay. She got very sick. It was very quick. It wasn't sudden. It was a couple months. It was like maybe a month or two, I want to say. My mom went down to North Carolina. I think she knew that she maybe had a couple days, if that, left. And she was like, all right, I'll go. I don't want you to see grandma like that, but I'm going to go, be there in her last days, whatever. Literally the day my mom left, I was having a fun little photo shoot with my friend. We had some pizza. We had some wine. So I go to bed that night and my leg is numb. My whole leg is like pins and needles. And I'm like, why does my leg feel like that? I was like nervous. I was like, what the fuck? Am I having a stroke? Like, what is going on? I was 26, 27 years old. I'm like, what the fuck? Was it the pizza? Was it the wine? Now I'm thinking of everything I ate that day. Like,
am I allergic?
Talk about spiritual symptoms giving that to like a person with anxiety
oh God.
And what do they call it when you think hypochondriac? Growing up, I was the biggest hypochondriac, always thought something was wrong with me.
Oh, honey.
Yeah, it was like that. So, and at the time I didn't have health insurance. So I'm having all of these symptoms and I can't even go to the doctor because I can't fucking afford it. And then it wasn't just the leg going numb. Now it was going to like different parts of my body, and I would feel little like zzz, zzz, little like shocks, like neurological shocks in my brain. Okay. I would try to go to sleep at night and I would be jolted awake because I literally felt physical pain, like electricity going off in my brain. It was horrifying. And Avi, you know, he would sleep over and he would have to just like calm down. Yeah. He would have to just like lull me back to sleep, and then I'd fall asleep for another 2 minutes, back awake. It was horrible. And that happened for a while. And like, I remember it was like a whole ordeal, right? Because I needed to go to the doctor, and then I think I actually did go to the doctor, and then she prescribed me some fucking medication bullshit. And like, if you need to take medication, do what you need to do. I'm not against medication, but I knew I did not need medication.
The medication wasn't going to help.
It wasn't going to. Right. I was like, this is something else. This is not, I don't know if they call it paranoia. I don't know if like what they were trying to diagnose me as, but I was like, this is not whatever they're saying that I have.
Okay.
Like, you know yourself, right? You know when something is off, but I was like, there's no way that I need this medication. And maybe some would say that was denial if I really did need it, but like something in me knew that that was not what this was. So I think I was going through this for like, I don't remember how long my mom was gone, maybe a couple days. I don't remember if it was a week. I was like having conversations with my mom back and forth on the phone because she was worried about me. And she was like, Jess, I can't even be there. Like, I'm with your grandmother, like, she wasn't trying to make me feel guilty, like saying your grandmother's dying and you're complaining about whatever it is you're dealing with.
Okay, D.
Go call your father. And my father, like, you've met my father. My dad doesn't give shit about anything. He's just like, oh, whatever. Just take your pills. Whatever.
Take your medicine.
Yeah. Just like, nobody's listening to me.
Our dads would get along.
He's like, take your crazy pills. And I'm just like, nobody wants to listen to me.
Imagine being a ghost.
Yeah, exactly. And dude, I went to like so many doctors. Like I think I even went to like, not the emergency room. What is it? Like the urgent care? I went to the urgent care, and I think they even did an EKG, or like they did all that shit. And like, they're like, you're fine. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm like, all right, well, this is something else then. I don't know what the fuck. So then I'm like, you know, my mom, we have a phone call, and she's like, all right, grandma wants me to be with you. And my grandmother was still alive. My grandmother in a bed and dying is like, go home. She needs you. Oh. I felt so horrible, but she was like, no, grandma really wants me to get to you. So my mom flew back the next day, and I think that next morning my mom was home and she came in my room. She's like, grandma passed. So she didn't even want my mom to see her like that, you know? So it was crazy. And then my family from North Carolina, they shipped my grandmother's body back up here, and we have a running joke because Whitney Houston actually died on the same day.
Oh.
The same day. And Whitney Houston is from New Jersey. Oh. She was buried in a cemetery in Westfield, where we went to go see the Addams family, like a couple blocks away, right? It was like,
why didn't we see her?
Either Westfield or Clark or Cranford, one of those in that vicinity. Okay. Yeah, in that vicinity is where Whitney was buried. So my family likes to joke around because they're sick fucks. They were like, what if they got the bodies mixed up at the airport and they give us Whitney and gave Whitney's? They were like, could you imagine Whitney's family opening that casket and be like,
little white lady in there?
Who's this white lady? So, I mean, if you want to add a little humor to that dark period, I mean, sometimes you have to do that, you know? Sometimes you have to do that to get through it.
So she passed, and then when did you find out, like, she was having a medical situation that was kind of what you were experiencing?
Right. So my family from North Carolina, they came here so we could bury my grandmother, and I was still having those symptoms, like little shocks, little little jolts, like all through her wake, but they felt like they were kind of like keeping at bay. Weirdly, once we had her funeral service, like the day after the wake, when you finally put them to rest and you bury them, put the flowers on the casket, I said my piece. I put my little flower on her casket, and the rest of the day I spent with my cousins. And I was having so much fun with my cousins and just so relieved my grandmother was no longer in this agony,
Oh,
dying in bed,
yeah.
that I just like, I didn't even realize that the pain was gone. Gone. Like, we laid her to rest and the pain went away. My anxiety went away. The jolts went away. My nummingness of my limbs went away. Everything.
Is this the grandmother whose house address is 444?
Her mother.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
My grandmother's mother, her name was Dorothy. My mother's namesake. Yeah. So my mom was named after my great grandmother. Yeah. So
very interesting.
So my great grandmother's address was 444. And then that whole thing that happened with my grandmother, we buried her in like February, right? That was February that her and Whitney died. I have to gauge it by when Whitney, yeah, because like I'm so horrible with dates. But
Miss Houston to you.
Houston, yeah. So we buried her in like February, and then come the spring, I was working like a traveling musician job. Like, I would go to preschools around New Jersey, and I would travel around to different schools, and I taught a class out in like Hillsborough, which is like kind of like not too far. It's like a 20-minute drive, but like it's kind of like more country bumpkin than where I live. It's more out in the sticks, right? And there's this park out there. It's one of my favorite parks for years, even before all this happened. Like, it's one of my favorite parks. Sometimes I would just go there just to like, they have a beautiful rose garden, a beautiful willow tree, and just beautiful place to go and just tune out and, you know, just connect with nature. So one day I was feeling all up in my feels and I was feeling a little bit of anxiety, and I decided to go to that park. And I sat under, you know, I walked the rose garden, I sat under one of the willow trees, I wrote a little poetry, and then I decided to go back toward the back of the park where it's more like open field kind of vibe, and there's like bushes and like paths and trails, and there's people walking around. Like, it's not completely secluded, like, but it's beautiful. And so I remember sitting there and I was all up in my feels. I think I was probably crying, and like I was just like, you know, upset about my grandma and like still missing her because it was still fresh, you know, the wound was still fresh. It was in the spring, but it just happened that winter. So I was.
Grief has no end.
I know. I still cry sometimes when I think about her. I'm like, I miss you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just like hear a song and I'll be like, I'll just lose it.
Yeah.
So I was like sitting there and I was like, just give me a sign. I'm like trying to connect. I'm like, just give me a sign. Let me know you're okay. And like, I'm like, my head is kind of down. Out of the my peripheral, not out of the side, but like in front of me, like directly in front of me, I felt like I saw a white horse, like a mystical, magical, like Pegasus or something. Like, I just saw something go past. Yeah. And I look up and there's nothing there but people walking by. Okay. The people walk by and I'm looking into the bush. And now this is kind of set back, like in the shade. Like, there would be no way that I would have seen this horse like past these people, like in front of the people. But I look closer and I walk over there and there's like a whole field of like a stable, and there's a white horse standing there behind where you can even behind where the sunlight is even hitting. Like, you wouldn't be able to even see this horse if you didn't walk into the shade a little bit. And this is set back a lot. Yeah. So I'm like, what? I'm like, I thought I saw a white horse walk in front of me, but I saw it like in the sunlight, like in front of where the people were walking.
You just knew they were there.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I can't explain it.
I love it.
I don't even try to understand it, but it was meant for me to be seen. And I was like, oh, okay. Grandma's here. She wants me to know she's okay. And like, I kind of just like put my hand out and I was like petting it and I was like connecting. And I was just like, I need this right now.
Hun. That's so sweet.
It was beautiful. And like, since then, I'm like, I have this connection with like white horses now. Like, now,
cool.
Seeing a white horse, I'm like, yes, great. And butterflies. She loved butterflies. So, but she would like use butterflies in connection with my grandfather. Like, she would see butterflies as him when she was alive. Yeah.
Oh, and then that passed and it's her for you.
Yeah. So she's more butterflies, and I guess, or he's more butterflies and she's more white horses for me.
That's cool. Like a Patronus.
Yeah. It was just so wild. And I was like, that is so crazy. Like, not crazy, but like unexplainable. Like, you know?
That's sometimes the best, isn't it?
Yeah. And I have more about my grandmother. She was a strong presence when she passed on. I want to say October rolled around, like September, October rolled around. Before September, let's go back to August, because now I was kind of like, after I had those experiences, feeling all that pain that my grandmother felt, I was starting to question like, oh yeah. And then my mom told me after like she was buried, she was like, you know, like now that I'm thinking about all the symptoms that you were telling me that you were having, all like the jolts and like the zzz in your brain and like your limbs going pins and needles and numb. She was like, now that I think about it, your grandmother had lesions on her brain because the cancer had spread to her brain.
That's insane.
So I don't know.
You do know.
I guess I do know, but like, I know it sounds insane to anybody who hasn't experienced that, you know? It sounds like
it's an incredible, bittersweet gift.
It sounds like I could be making it up, but like, this all happened.
Yeah.
This all happened.
I totally believe you.
So at that point, I was like really starting to question it. I was like, holy shit, can I feel other people's pain? Like, what does that mean? What even is that? Is there a word for that? I went down the rabbit hole, and then I found out about the word empath. I had never heard of the word empath before. And then I was doing the research and I figured out that's
You're like,
shit.
I
was like, it all makes sense now. And I remember it was the sturgeon full moon in August of 2012 where I had this realization. And I think around that time, my aunt, my mom's sister, Linda, and her daughter, Jessica, came up to visit us and go visit, my grandmother in the cemetery and my grandfather because she's buried with him. During their visit here, we decided to go thrift shopping. And I think I've told you this story about the joy visions. We talked about this.
Yes, your angel.
Yeah. So, and this was the same year my grandmother died, the same year I'm having all these weird spiritual experiences on top of approaching my Saturn return. So this is why, part of the reason why it was so fucking messy is because I was starting to see all the spiritual shit and I didn't know what the fuck to make of it. So we're in this thrift store and this lady, she has this like contraption in her hand. I don't know what it was. It was like some wrought iron thing. She's walking through the aisle. She's like, do you guys know what this is? We're like, we were trying to figure out the same thing. So my aunt and my cousin are in another aisle, fucking off, right? And my mom and me, we get into conversation with this lady. And she's talking to us about like signs from spirit. I don't even know how it segued into all of that. But she was telling us about intuition and just knowing things and just trusting and knowing in things that are wrong or things that you might be experiencing. And she was telling us that I don't know if you want to say predicted or diagnosed her own cancer.
Oh.
Like she knew she was sick.
Oh.
And she went to her mother. She's like, I need to go to the doctor. I have cancer.
Wow.
And she went to the doctor and she had cancer.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
That's heavy.
Right. Yeah. So she's telling us this in the middle of a thrift store.
You just have that kind of face. People want to share things with you.
Seriously. And I don't know if I had, both Mia and my mom, like she's a very emotional person, more so than my dad. But when my grandmother passed, she was very stoic. She didn't really.
Wow.
She didn't grieve or even show that she was grieving. She held a lot of it in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm sure this lady, this intuitive lady walking through this thrift store saw us and used this random contraption to open up a conversation because she saw that we needed to talk to her.
She's like, look at this distraction. Come to me.
Exactly. So she picked up some random cast iron thing and was like, what the fuck is this? By the way.
Exactly. Oh my Lord.
So we're having all these conversations and like, my mom was telling her that I could feel people's pain and that I felt her dead mother's pain and like all this. She's like just unloading on this lady and I'm like just standing there and she's like, you look like you would like scarves.
Oh, random.
It was so fucking random.
Scarves.
So then, because I think I had on a scarf or something, and she was like, oh, that's so pretty. They sell scarves like that at the Golden Nugget Flea Market in New Hope, Pennsylvania. And literally, like, I think the day before, we were in New Hope with my aunt and my cousin, because, New Hope's not far. It's like an hour drive, and we like to go there and, take them there because it's a cute town and there's a lot of shops and flea markets and, thrift stores. So we went there the day before we went to that thrift store in my hometown. And the lady at one of the counters in one of these little consignment shops in New Hope was like, hey, have you guys ever checked out the Golden Nugget Flea Market around the corner? And we were like, no, never heard of it before. And then the next day, the lady in my hometown thrift store was like, have you guys heard the Golden Nugget Flea Market? We're like, this is the second person in 2 days that mentioned this freaking name.
We need to go back. Yeah.
So we need to go back. So yeah, so me and my mom are having this conversation and she mentioned the Golden Nugget Flea Market. She's like, you need to go back. By the way, here's my business card. By the way, her business card, none of her information works. All of her messages bounce back. Her phone line was like disconnected. The email bounced back to me. But you know what I noticed in all of her, the text on her business card?
444.
There was like a 4 in each line. And I think like out of each line, there was probably maybe either 3 or 4 4s.
That's wild.
Total in
That's
the whole
wild.
business card. And it was like Joy Visions, and the card was like a sunset on like a heavenly sunset scape.
Yeah.
And it was like all pointless information that didn't exist. I'm convinced she was an angel and we needed to speak with her.
That's so weird.
I don't know why. So we did go to the Golden Nugget Flea Market, and that's where I found that weird autograph book that I need to go further down that rabbit hole, but that's
Still
a conversation
mystery.
for another day. But then it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. Okay. So that was August. I want to say August, where, you know, we had this contact with Joy Visions, met my angel, and then got my spirit numbers. From that point on, I was like, what do the 4s mean? So I looked into the 4s and found out, like, you know, my angel numbers, and, you know, found out I was an empath, learned that new word. Then come like September, October, I'm feeling a pain under my lung. I'm like, what the fuck is this pain now? What is this? All right.
Who's in trouble?
Yeah. Who the fuck is this now? So my parents went to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, because that's their thing. Like, me and Avi's thing is Salem. Their thing is Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they have it in
random.
It is so random. Then my mom loves Amish people. Don't ask me why. So they have it in their mind, like, after they retire, they want to sell my childhood home and move out to the sticks. So they came home from one of their, you know, yearly retreats, and, like, you know, at the end of August, early September, and they're like, they dropped this bomb on me. Okay. I was still living at home at that time, mind you, not married yet, wouldn't have a home if, you know, I would have had to, like, move out and find a place, like, quickly.
Right.
They decided that they wanted to put my childhood home up for sale on a whim, because they looked at houses that were already being developed out in Lancaster, and there's a really nice plot of land next to a farm, and, like, they saw, you know, the fairy tale light at the end of the tunnel. They're like, we're gonna go there when we retire. But no, they were not even retired, both of them, at that point. They were still working. I'm like, what about your jobs? Like, what are you gonna do for work out there? Like, who's gonna visit you? I ain't fucking going out there.
I would see you much more if you did.
So we had some words. It was a very heated topic of discussion, and there were doors flying, and, you know, it was very tense in the house during that time. And I think my grandmother was still hanging around, because she could sense, I think she could feel the tension and the pain between me and my mother, and, like, I know my grandmother would side with me in a heartbeat, so she was probably the reason why she was like, Dorothy and Roy, your asses need to stay here, because this is Justina's childhood home. You can't leave, because guess what? My parents were having realtors come over to appraise the house, and the lights were fucking going out on them.
Grandma, stop it.
For like 2 weeks, like, they were having, like, people come over to appraise the house, like, different realtors, and the lights, my mom would go to turn on a light, and it would just explode in her face.
That's money too, out the window to get your house appraised. You gotta pay for that shit.
Yeah, so they were hot on the trail of, like, getting the fuck out of there, but I was like, I would be homeless, and, like, you know, I was, you know, I was at the end of my 20s, still kind of, like, in that bubble of, like, no, I'm living home forever, and, you know, it's my childhood home, you know,
it's special. Yeah,
emotional attachment. I already lost my grandmother this year, and now you're gonna pull another rug out from underneath me?
Yeah.
Really, D? Really? This is just a therapy session. Everybody take a fucking drink. Jesus.
I'm empty.
Yeah, so
get up at 4:30.
I was feeling some shit. I was feeling a certain type of way, let's just say that. So it was around that time, the lights were going out left and right. I had this thing under my lung, which I was like, what the fuck is this now? So I went and got that checked out. I went through every type of test, ultrasound, CAT scan, like, drank the fucking whole, like, 2 jugs of barium so they can see what the fuck was in. Nothing. I was fine. They didn't find they didn't find anything.
What the fuck?
So I was like, maybe it's residual spiritual energy? Because it was around the same time all these freaking lights were going out.
What the hell?
So that was another thing, this, like, other clairsentience that I was feeling, that I was like, I don't even know what this is. I don't know where this is coming from. But then after my parents decided that they wanted to stay, that they weren't going to sell the house anymore, the lights stopped flickering and my pain went away.
What the fuck?
I don't know. What the
Unexplainable.
fuck? Exactly. What the fuck? And then later that month, I think like October, Avi's father had the heart attack, and I felt that too.
Yeah.
I felt like a blow to my chest. Like I was
really feel the physical.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. Which one is the physical? Let me go look again.
Sentience. Yeah.
Clear feeling. Yeah. Wow.
It's nuts. Indescribable. So it's happened on more than one occasion, more than like I would like to say, because it's not comfortable. Like it's scary and it's painful, and like I think something's happening to me, and then I find out that it's something else, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't mine.
Of all the Claires, wouldn't want that one.
I don't want that one, but like, I mean, I guess it's kind of cool because, like, you know, it's like a superpower, but it's not cool because it hurts and it's scary, and like, you know, you're like, okay, what one of my loved ones is hurt or dying now? Like,
Right.
it's a panic. Avi's father, like years before he passed away, like he was a diabetic and he had a heart condition. So that night, I was having a cup of tea. I went down to put my cup into the sink and I turned around to go upstairs. I literally went to go flick the light switch off. And I took one step up the step and boom, blow to my chest.
Whoa.
Fell over.
Whoa.
I was crawling up the stairs. I was laid out in the hallway.
Mom and dad's house, right?
Yeah, thank God, because my mom had to help me off the floor. She's like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, call 911? I was like, no. And I was like, I don't think this is a heart attack. Like, it felt like one, but for some reason, like, I knew it wasn't one.
Not yours.
It wasn't mine. So she helped me to bed, and then she kind of like laid with me and was like rubbing my back, trying to like get me to calm down. I fell asleep. My phone rings at like 2 a.m. It was Avi. I was like, what's wrong? What's the matter? Because like at that point, he had to go to bed. He would go to bed early because he had work early in the morning. The fact that he would call me at 2 a.m, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He's like, my dad just had a heart attack. I'm like, what?
The fuck?
What?
That is so wild.
Yeah.
So your body is in tune.
So
also, those stairs are weird. Remember when we had the dinner and you were like, you or your mom were like, do you feel anything? I was like, I kind of feel like a little weird on your landing there. And I was sitting there. I called Aaron.
I think I asked you, right?
Oh, okay.
I was like, I was like, do you feel anything on the stairs? Because my friend Jenna was over and she was like, I was having a conversation with her and she wasn't looking me in the eye. She was kind of looking off towards the staircase. And the whole time I'm talking to her, I'm like, I feel like her attention diverted. Hello? And I'm like, hello, what the fuck are you looking at? She's like, and then she like really like quietly, she was like, there's somebody in your stairs. And I was like, full on body chills. I was like, what? She wouldn't tell me. She was like, I don't know, but there's somebody on your stairs.
Yeah.
And I was like,
something there.
And I told you, we had this conversation on that episode. That wasn't the first time that like I felt something in that house.
But it's just interesting that the sensation for Avi's father happened also on the stairs.
Yeah, so crazy shit. So I can't explain it. I don't.
Dude, as soon as you start like logging this shit, it's gonna just increase, you know?
Yeah. And it's, tune in. I haven't really felt anything like that since that year. And I don't know if it was because like I was grieving so hard, like my grandmother, like we just lost her that year. So I guess it was like the grief was fresh. I was approaching my Saturn return. Everything was coming at me full speed ahead. Like, have a grasp on this spirituality or whatever. And I guess it was just heightened. It was heightened because I didn't know how to control it. I didn't know how to ground. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. So I was just a sponge.
Yeah.
I was absorbing all of it and didn't really know how to be like, all right, that's not mine. Like, you know, and kind of like keep it at bay. Like,
just like what Christa was talking about. Like, you ever have a thought that you're like, ooh, I would not
think that. Yeah.
Think that.
Right.
That's that attachment. I'm like, ooh, Christa, we have to talk because I need some help.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is crazy.
It's fascinating how we're able to connect with that realm.
It's just like a very fuzzy line.
What is it? Inexplainable.
You've experienced, so when you're clairaudience, it's like full brain, other voices. And you've also experienced inner cranium brain zings.
Yeah.
You know, through your grandmother's
physical pain.
death.
Right.
And under your lung, I don't know, is your kidney under your lung? Like, was that pre-kidney stones for you?
It was pre-kidney stone, yeah. And I did have a bunch of tests during that time when I felt that pain under my lung, and they didn't find any. And I had ultrasounds, they didn't find anything. So it wasn't even kidney stone then.
Did you get checked out at all after Avi's father's heart attack?
I did. I went to a specialist, and they actually diagnosed me with costochondritis, which is when your sternum, it's like inflamed. It's like when it rubs up against, they're like where they meet, it rubs up against each other, and it's very, very painful. So it can feel like a heart attack. So sometimes I'll have a flare up and I'll have to just like not move and just wait for it to pass. But that was more than costochondritis. It felt like boom, like it felt like somebody punched me. I knocked the wind out of me.
Whoa.
Yeah, a typical costochondritis like flare up doesn't feel like that.
It is so fascinating to like have it as like a physical sensation, but also very scary. I'm sorry you have to go through that.
Yeah, especially as a hypochondriac, I think something's always wrong with me to begin with, and then on top of that, I'm getting all that spirit shit.
Now you are a little wiser. Since you know how to protect yourself a little more, would you be more open or not welcoming? But if that were the case, would you be like cooler with it? You know, if something were to come
I'm
up physically?
still very like scared of the spirit world and the unknown, all that realm. Like I'm scared to even like tap into it because I'm afraid that like once the floodgates are open, they're not gonna leave me the fuck alone.
How do you feel about when your ears ring?
I feel I have that a lot. I get that a lot. And I don't know if that's because I consider myself clairaudient. I don't know if that's what comes with that. That must be something. I heard like, oh, maybe people are talking about you. Your ears are ringing. They're talking about you.
I've always heard stop and pay attention to where that sensation goes into your body. So I'm like dead still whenever that happens. It happened yesterday and it's usually in my left ear. I don't remember what it is. Caitlin told me usually like if it's your left ear, it means this. If it's your right ear, it means this. I can't remember what those things are.
Right.
But yeah, it's such a weird sensation, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. I mean, we talked about a majority of this on our hauntings and exorcisms episode. And like, you know, like the whole thing, like when Avi's father passed, all the stuff that happened with that when he was looking for, what was it, a car title or something?
And people don't necessarily go in order, as we've talked about. So guys, if you want to know more, especially with the cartels.
That's what
Justina and her husband and your families, like the very unexplainable synchronicities that happen. Go check out that hauntings and exorcisms episode.
Yeah, and I told you, I don't consider my house haunted. I don't think anybody's died here, right? Nobody's died here. There were 2 owners here before us, and nobody died here as far as I know. But I mean, like, we're on the planet Earth. There's spirits everywhere. It doesn't matter if somebody died here in this house or not.
It could have been something you bought and brought home. It could have been that autograph book you brought home.
Oh fuck!
Oh, wait, that's not.
I bring a lot of
your parents' house.
I bring a lot of antiques home though. Like Avi brought up a good point the last time we talked. Like I bring home a lot of antiques, so it could be attached to some shit. I don't know. But that did happen like shortly after his father passed. I told you. I came out of the bathroom and I didn't have Punky at that point. It was just Coraline, right? And I come out of the bathroom and I walk into the hallway and I'm looking straight on and I see a ball roll past the wall, right? And I thought, I came out, I was like, oh, Boopy, you're playing with your ball? And I looked to where the ball came from, and Boopy's not over there. The ball is rolling to her. I'm like, who rolled that ball?
That's one of the more eerie ones for sure.
And I went like this. I was like, didn't see that.
And
I turned around and went back in the bathroom.
Bye.
I was like, I pretended, because like I know that when spirit senses that you're afraid, if it's a negative entity, if it senses your fear, it's gonna feed off of that and it's gonna make things worse. So I didn't want to feed anything, so I was just like, nope, didn't see that. Oh,
absolutely.
Nope. But I'm pretty sure it was his father playing with the cat.
I love that. Yes.
I want to choose to believe that because it was around that time he had recently passed. He always talked about the cat. He was always talking about how's Coraline. He would always ask about her. He would pop in and out around like certain holidays. Like Avi, I remember like the first year that his father had passed around Avi's birthday. And Avi doesn't dream. He never has vivid dreams. Nothing. He never can recall his dreams. He said he dreamt of his father on around his birthday. And it was also around like that time Coraline was like bouncing off the walls for no freaking reason. She was waking me up at obscene hours. She would like have the zoomies and run around in the hallway, and she would stand in my doorway here. She would look up at the ceiling and she would jump at nothing. And I'm like, what are you jumping at?
Grandpa.
Yeah, it had to be.
Sweet.
So yeah, when I feel things in this house or around me, I choose to believe that it's the people protecting me and like people that I've loved and lost, and you know, I would rather believe that than, you know, some entity fucking with me.
I think you are in tune enough to have cleansed your house, kind of maybe not like regularly, regimentedly, but protected yourself to some degree. And the people that are in your space are there to protect you, and they're your ancestors and family and loved ones for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I have one more. Okay. I have one more. And this one's more recent. Okay. So, you know, the 444 thing, right? Yeah. That kind of originated when I met Joy Visions in 2012 after my grandmother passed.
Okay.
So through throughout, the past 10, however many years, I've been carrying these numbers with me. 444, I'm like always, those are my numbers. So this past year, I was looking for a birthday gift for my boss, and I was in Home Goods. And I'm looking for a gift, and I'm like, I don't know what to get her. I was kind of farting around the candle aisle, and then like, some of the crystals and stuff like that. And then I was like, let me just check out the jewelry before I go. Like, I know it's probably kind of tacky jewelry. It's from Home Goods, but like, maybe I'll find something cute. So I go over the jewelry section, and the first box that pops out at me is this little box right here. And it's got astrological symbols and constellations and moons. And I was like, oh, that has Justina written all over it, right?
Yeah.
I was like, that is so freaking cute. What is in the box? I opened the box, and it was this 444 necklace.
That's cool.
Right?
Oh my goodness. That's so cool.
So on top of like getting the gift for my boss, I did end up getting her the gift, but then I was like, I need to buy myself this necklace.
If they have a 333.
All right. Yeah. I'll send that your way. Yeah. So I picked it up because I was like, 444. What are the chances of me opening that up and then being my freaking numbers,
Yeah. Astronomically slim.
Right. Crazy. I get the necklace. Now I wear the necklace all the time. My parents like to go to Clinton just to walk around. It's got, a cute little mill and a little waterfall and little art galleries and shops and stuff. Yeah. Very quaint little town. Sometimes I'll hop in the car and go with them. So I went with them, and my mom, she's, we just had like a lull, like kind of a moment. I don't know if my dad went to the bathroom or like we were waiting for something. We were just standing around waiting. Yeah. And she's like standing there, and she's like looking at, she's like, what is that? What is that? What does that say? D without her glasses. She's like, what does that say? I was like, oh, it's 444. And she's like, what is it? Like, what does that mean? I was like, oh, they're my angel numbers. And she was like, you didn't know that was your great grandmother's street address?
That is the coolest connection I've heard.
I'm like, what? What? Listen, so here's my theory. So the 444 thing for me originated when we met Joy Visions, and she gave me that business card with all the fours on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right after my grandmother had passed, and that year we were grieving her. So now I'm thinking, like, was that my great grandmother saying Joni is with me?
Yeah.
I have her now. She's safe. She's good.
Ugh.
It all came full circle for me. 13, 14 years later, it came full circle. I was like, that's what the 444 is?
That's why you have to log everything, because it might not mean something right now, but it will.
I don't need to log shit. It's all up here. Like,
I know, that's amazing, but no, seriously, get yourself a journal.
I remember I do write things down, but I type much faster than I can write things in a journal.
Especially the Clairaudience stuff.
Yeah, the Clairaudience, it'd be cool to have a notepad next to my bed and just write like cheesecake and random words.
Cheesecake. But the thing is, like, now having this platform, you have no idea who you're gonna reach.
I know.
Like, so and so, I heard this, and they're like, what the fuck?
Can anybody tell me what the fuck the Golden Nugget Flea Market means? Because I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Does anybody know Joy Visions?
Who is this woman? I'm convinced she does not exist.
Dude, that's an incredible story. And like that, seeing your autograph book that you picked up and all of the cool history and handwriting and the people in there. And then like at the end of our exorcism episode, we kind of like petered out because the three of us with Avi were just trying to research. We were Gary Halletting this person. Yeah.
Play 2L. What does he say?
229 MOB.
229 MOB. Yeah, we were definitely, we were trying to research after that, but I definitely have to go back down that rabbit hole at some point, pull that book out and be like, who the fuck are these people?
Christa makes us brave.
Yeah. It was very inspiring talking to her earlier, and we haven't really like been close like in the more recent years, because I know she's been dealing with a lot, and like, pandemic happened and we kind of lost connection a little bit, but like I said, we always pick back up where we left off, and like it kind of makes you want to be closer to a person when you're like, oh yeah, I remember how like freaking awesome you are, and I want to be closer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So then when we were looking for a researcher, I was like, I know the right fucking person.
Totally.
I don't even know why I didn't think of her before, but she is the perfect person for this.
Not just like being able to research, but also having experience in a lot of the stuff we talk about.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah. So I think I'm going to shut the fuck up now because I want to hear your shit.
Mine's logged, so it's going to be like boom, 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 unless you have questions.
Fucking rabbit hole. I'm so sorry, everybody, for dragging you along on that ride.
Thank you for sharing that with me. And seriously, even though like I know we talked about it in our exorcisms episode, the grandparents thing and the Avi's father thing, like that connection means so much. In hearing it again, it's never like I've heard this story, you know, because like as you know, having lost my grandfather this year is like, that's a grief that never fully heals. And please feel free to share it anytime. And thank you for bringing it here to Magnolia Street.
I do remember one more thing. I do remember when I was 13 and I was losing my grandfather to cancer. And this was my grandmother, who I was just talking about, that passed on, her husband, my mom's father. And I do remember when I was 13, I was really into like the witchcraft thing, or super into the craft, super into like being witchy and all that stuff, and like, you know, casting spells, making things happen. I do remember trying to do a healing spell for him and trying to heal him so he didn't die. That is the one memory I have of like just trying to keep him here. Selfishly, we want our loved ones with us our entire lives, but unfortunately that's just life. We lose, and that's just part of it. And
mortality.
Learning that at 13 is a really heavy thing to learn. And, you know,
because as we all know, that is the like the easiest age to get through.
And if we can tie this back to the movie, like, you got to let them go, and you can't bring them back because they're going to come back as something dark and unnatural. You have to let life and nature take its course. Little period at the end.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. That is such a sweet, bittersweet memory.
Right. Yeah. So
I don't know how to follow that.
It's your turn. You're in the hot seat now.
Well, you might have already perused some of my notes, but like speaking strictly in regards to like clairvoyancy, as we kind of talked about at the beginning of the second hour, third hour, wherever we're at, like I'll get a blip of vision, but usually it's in the form of a dream. So I'm not really sure if that's in the same realm as clairvoyance, but dreams are always where I get my like prophecy prediction.
Okay.
Yeah. But like clairvoyance or clear seeing is, I'm getting ear ringing.
Who is it? Who's talking about you?
Is the most visual of all the clairs, and you know, you receive pictures in the forms of images in your mind's eye. So I'm going to take that as mind's eye, subconscious dreams. Okay. So a lot of this is going to be dream stuff. Some of it's clairaudience stuff. Some of it is just claircognizance. Is it clairknowing, claircognizance?
Yeah.
I don't think I logged anything about clairsentience. I'm sure there has been. And now that Christa has inspired me to start recording it again.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have something. But like, if that's the case, like these messages usually come from relatives that have passed away, and the stuff that my grandfather has sent me visually is just like letting me know like he's good, you know, he's good. But is this clair knowing, or is this clair somebody told you? Like, I don't know, because they're dead. Like, my experience usually involves my Aunt Fran. So I have an Aunt Franny too.
You never told me that.
I have an Aunt Franny. She was cool as shit. I was kind of scared of her because she was like any of our aunts and uncles. Maybe it's the same in Sicilian families. Like, you can get trouble just as bad. So
that's probably my Aunt Fifi for me, the one that threw the Ouija board over the fence.
Yes. Yeah.
Everybody's afraid of her, but me and her have like this understanding.
Okay. So my Aunt Fran, we called her name was Francesca. So we called her Teta Fran.
I love that.
She was just the most like type A, vivacious, beautiful mother of two. And she passed away when she was only 39 of pancreatic cancer.
Oh my God, that's so young.
So young now, like being 30.
Yeah, I'm 40. Oh my God.
39.
That's,
And at the time I was probably 13.
Yeah.
She has two kids, my cousins, and I'm going to call them Anne and Will. And Anne was about 16 when she lost her mama. So when Teta Fran was done letting her know she was present, she was safe and at peace. Like, I know Anne had her own little things happening in her house. She's very attuned. She's also a Gemini, which I always forget because she's a June Gemini.
Okay.
So it's a little different.
Yeah.
But over the last decade, Teta Fran visited me a lot in my dreams. And I know when she would, I needed to be paying attention, because after the first like 3 times, I was like, that shit's imminent. It's going to happen now. So some of the earlier messages had to do with her son, Will. And she wanted me to make sure in one of these dreams that somebody was checking on him. Like, Will has had his own mental psychiatric demons of his own, and he's been in and out of the hospital over the last, Jesus Christ, like 10 years. And within the next 3 days of me having this dream, that Teta Fran was like, somebody needs to check on Will. I called Anne up and we chatted on the phone, and I mentioned to her that she was like worried about her son. And Anne stops me and says that Will had checked himself into a psychiatric facility that day.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh my God, Jesus,
Oh,
like,
no.
is he, what's going on? You know, and then we got into that whole story. Another example, another dream I had of Teta Fran coming to me was also Anne was in the dream. We were at like a holiday meal, and this was like February 2016. She had brought her boyfriend and brought her boyfriend to this holiday meal, and we were all like mingling and like kind of like sharing on the sidelines, like, oh no, like he doesn't drink. Like, no, like don't offer him anything. He doesn't drink because he's a recovering alcoholic. So I called Anne the next day because I kind of figured out like if I dream of Teta Fran, give Anne a call. While we were on the phone, I told her this and she was like, shut up. She was like, last night, so-and-so, her boyfriend at the time, she was like, we had a deep conversation that he shared that he's a recovering alcoholic. I'm like, oh okay.
Oh.
And another one was like, I dreamed about her, Anne, and a red car. I haven't been home since 2012, so I don't know what the fuck kind of car she drives, but I was like, is there something going on with a red car? She was like, yeah, I drive a red car. Oh, okay. So like little, some things don't mean anything, but it's cool to have validation for sure.
Wasn't there something recently with like your grandfather's name in like a sign?
You know, I didn't even write that down. Yeah, you and I were in Salem and we were walking. We passed a sign that said Joe and Tomo's Fish and Tackle.
Yeah.
Tomo is not
that's not a common name.
Not a common name. And my grandfather, Joe, had a brother, Thomas Tomo, and they were thick as thieves. They were so close. And like my grandfather dedicated his biography that he wrote to his brother. And it was just so weird to see Joe and Tomo fish and tackle.
Did they fish together?
I'm sure they did.
Okay. That is very weird. Yeah.
So I knew I had started writing things in order in a journal, and I found them. I tend to start writing in the first like 10th of a notebook.
Yeah.
And then I rip the pages out because I want to use the notebook for something else.
Yeah.
So I piled all the pages but I found them. I've also had other dreams about like random friends that I don't necessarily talk to regularly anymore. I used to have a lot of dreams about somebody I went to grade school with, and it was always like, I need you to be safe. I need you to be safer. And I think I freaked them out. I eventually hung out with like a mutual friend we went to grade school with, and this person was like, yeah, he kind of was like, what the fuck, like why does she keep telling me to like be careful kind of thing. I don't know if anything happened along the way. I don't know. And it kind of sucks to be like looked a bombastic side eye at what you're receiving.
Yeah.
But and one that I had was somebody I used to work with. His name was Andy. Yeah. And I worked with him at PetSmart. We got along super great. He's very big brother energy. I had a dream about him one night that he was managing a rock climbing gym. And I showed up. I was like, my guy, I know this might not work out, but I need a job. And he was like, all right, go down the corner around to the convenience store and get an application. I was, all right, I'll do that.
This is in the dream?
This is a dream.
Okay.
So yeah, I was trying to get a job there. So I woke up and I messaged him. We still chat. And I was like, my question to him, I was like, what's up with the rock climbing gym? And are you getting a new job?
Yeah.
And he said, I work across the street from a rock climbing gym, and I actually just applied for a new job.
What?
Like, no shit. And it's just so weird because he and I did not like have a super deep relationship. Like we got together for a drink now and then, but he was, like I said, very big brother energy.
Right.
So same guy, I had another dream about traveling, and I asked him upon waking, I was like, are y'all taking a vacation? What's going on? He was like, I'm not, but my wife, I don't know if she was his girlfriend at the time, is planning like a big girls getaway to the UK or Ireland or something. So I was like, okay. I just love having the validation, even if there's like no end message of like, okay, she needs to do this.
Right. Yeah. I never have these kinds of dreams ever, but I have to tell you about this one because it happened literally like yesterday.
Okay.
And I just thought of it. So it's with Avi. Okay. So yesterday, 7:07 a.m., I texted Avi. I woke up and it was the most vivid dream, okay, that I've had in a while. So I texted him right away at 7:00 in the morning. He's already at work. So I was like, I had the craziest dream. I was like, you brought me to like this top secret motorcycle club riding school. Like it was like ritzy. Like,
okay.
Like we had to have had a lot of money to even get in the door. So we must have been well off in this dream. Okay. I was like, because you wanted me to learn how to ride. And you know what he responded with? He was like, that's odd. On Friday night, my coworker has a motorcycle vehicle, so I was sitting in it, and we were all talking about our wives trying to get them to ride.
Oh my goodness. I think you should
What?
do it.
What? I was like, shut up. I was like, that is so weird. But now I have to reach out to my other friends that were in the dream to ask them because my other friend was in the dream, my maid of honor, Marianne, and her husband, but her husband was next to her in the dream doing data entry and working on spreadsheets. And he was like, I gotta get these spreadsheets done. And he's like,
you have to talk to her.
I have to reach out to her and be like, is John okay at work?
Exactly. Exactly.
Just to see. I'm going to check in with her and I'll let you know what she says.
Okay. Exactly
Anyway,
it.
Yeah. Keep going. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I just wild what our subconscious and where our astral bodies go.
Definitely.
Isn't it?
It's wild.
Yeah. There have been times when I've seen my maternal grandfather like in my like I know my eyes aren't seeing him right there, but I know he's right there. And when my grandmother and I were writing her biography, like I've done a biography for my mom's mom and one for my dad's dad.
That's amazing.
It is probably one of the most heart fulfilling things for me at least, who loves history and loves Gemini talking to people.
How long did each one take you? Like how long it was? I'm sure it's a process because you have to compile all the stories and like, I'm sure there's like things lost in translation too, because your grandparents didn't speak much English either, right?
Yeah, totally. My grandmother's was a little easier. It was a little shorter. It's shorter as in like page wise. Like she's just talking about her life, her memoirs, things she remembers, who's related to who. And she does speak English. And my grandfather, that was a little more of a process because his brain was so strong. Like he could remember the weather of the day. You know what I mean? So that took about a year and a half. So working on those things was just really heart fulfilling.
Right.
But while we were working on hers, I was just sitting at it. I didn't even have like my phone recorder going. I sat there with a legal pad and was scribbling as she was talking. And she was talking about when my grandfather passed away. And she has kind of a cool Claire story for a woman who was almost a nun. Like she was steps away from taking her final vows in the convent. While we were doing her book, she was talking about him passing away. He passed away when I was about 8 from lung cancer. He was a smoker. And he was sitting next to her, leaning on his elbows, like trying to hold her hand, just saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like it wasn't your fault, because I think she was internalizing, like if I had taken him to the doctor sooner, if I had done this, and he was just apologizing. And I was like, I started crying, and I know I'm freaking her out. And I just like, I need to let you know what I'm seeing. And I know you're a God-fearing woman, but I need you to know what I'm seeing just for your own thoughts. But she said when he passed away, one of the things like they would always do together was make the bed. And I think I might have told this story on here before, so I apologize. So after his funeral, his service, everything, people had offered to stay with her, to be with her, for the first night in that house. And that's the house that I've written the song about, that Tudor house. It's so special to me.
Yeah.
They would always make the bed together. But she was making the bed, and she said there was no windows open or anything, and the sheets started fluttering on their own. And she's like, Ben, it's okay, I can do it myself.
Oh my God.
Mem, my heart.
Yeah.
She's got a touch of the
Yeah,
the specials. Getting a phone call when there's no caller ID at the time, and it's my best friend calling, and I answer the phone like, Sally, like, what's wrong? And it's her, and it's the corded phones at the time, the analog that you have to dial.
Yeah.
So going back to the like the little journal I pulled some things from there that I thought were poignant for this conversation.
When did this, so chronologically, does this start back? Like how far does this?
I think the farthest back that I started writing things down was 2013. And 2013 is like the 2 like Clairaudience things.
Yeah.
And that was when like I really had like a radio going. I don't know if I was still married to my first husband, but I remember laying in bed, and a lot of the time I had the false awakening, like the inception, like being layers deep. And I was,
oh my God.
Dude, I was at the point, like, not to be morbid, but I was like, is this real life? Like, if I pull into traffic kind of thing. Like, it was that realistic. And so the radio would be happening, and I'd have to like out loud say like, stop, like I need to turn you off. And then after that, I kind of lost it because I didn't know how to control it. I didn't understand a lot of it. So I think the 2013 Clairaudience stuff I put at the bottom, but the one thing I wrote down was ask her about 1974 Donna. no idea what that means. And then another thing was, I don't know if these were I think these were two people talking. I think it was a man and a woman. And I think one person said, "It's not moving, Michael." And then the next person said, "Insatiable patterns." And then the woman said again, "That's why I bought you those black sunglasses." I don't know. That's
Dude,
what I mean.
I hear shit like that all the time, and I'm just like, I just discount it as just fleeting thoughts, and I'm like, what does that mean? Was that
Write
why would I
it down?
why would I think that? I don't know. Yeah, that's so weird. It's just
Absolutely.
it's unexplainable, but it's so strange when it happens, right? It's like, what does it mean?
And then I think I journaled like 2014. I had a thought about a friend moving in with her boyfriend. I thought she's going to end up pregnant and she's going to get stuck because this guy was no good. And then spring of that following year, she announced she was pregnant.
We've all had a friend like that.
There you go.
Yep.
And then like May 2015, I wrote down that I was singing. I don't even know who sings this song. You might remember this song. It was a country song. And I used to work for Mary Kay. So I used to sell makeup. And I'm putting on my makeup in the morning and I start singing the song, "Brothers hooked on Mary Jane and Mama's hooked on Mary Kay," something like that.
Oh yeah, isn't that Casey Musgraves?
You are probably right. I hadn't heard that song in years. That day it was on the radio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is weird.
I had a dream about my sister-in-law at one point having, I think I've been like 9 out of 10 baby predictions. So I dreamt she was going to have a girl. She had a baby girl that following spring. Things like, I thought at one point I was listening to music on Pandora when that was really big. And I was like, for some reason, I thought, okay, this is the last song.
Yeah.
This is the last song. And then Pandora shut off. I was like, okay. Okay.
Okay. Have you ever known if you were like gonna win something before you won it? This has happened to me on more than one occasion.
I think you mentioned you were doing like raffles or something.
Me and Avi were in Salem and we were at a murder mystery dinner, right? At the Hawthorne Hotel. We're sitting in this like, I don't know, this banquet dinner room with like all these strangers. I think it was Ghostbusters. I think it was Ghostbusters, the show that we went to see. And we had to like write down on a piece of paper who we think the murderer is and why, right? So I wrote down my paper, you submit it in the box or whatever. And they're reading off the names and they're getting ready to announce the winner. I just get this feeling in like the pit of my stomach, and I hand Avi or like my camera, my phone, and I'm like, "Here, film this." He's like, "Film what?" I was like, "I'm gonna win." He's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Just film it. I'm gonna win." He's like, "How do you know?" I was like, "I guess that is claircognizance. You just know." It's just a clear knowing. And I was like, "I'm gonna fucking win. I'm telling you, film it right now." So he's like, he's like, okay, shut the fuck up. He's like, "Whatever. If you think you're gonna win, okay." And I fucking won. I fucking won that shit. I fucking won.
I just love that.
I fucking won. And that has happened on more than one occasion. And I don't know if it's because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the planet of luck and expansion. And I try to play into that sometimes, and I'm like, I'm ruled by the planet of luck. I should probably use that to my advantage. And sometimes it does pan out that I win, and it's been crazy. Yeah, it's happened on more than one occasion. It's nuts. I can't explain.
You gotta play the lotto, dude.
I really should play the lottery. You should. Oh,
yeah,
man.
I don't win ever, usually. Yeah. Not ever, but there are instances where, the claircognizance is like, no, trust me, like, watch this.
It's gonna happen. Exactly.
Hold my beer.
Speaking of Mary Kay, when we were at our wedding expo when we were getting married and planning our wedding. We went to our venue because they had this whole expo, and I submitted, you walk around and you submit to different raffles, seeing you can win anything for your wedding. And I won a whole Mary Kay excursion for all of my girls in my wedding, and we drove out to Pennsylvania. We got a nice little pamper day.
And enter your name in every fucking raffle.
Yeah, just play. If you're a Sagittarius, you are ruled by Jupiter. Play your fucking luck. Anyway.
And this we've mentioned before, but and probably even in this episode, but just when we went to Boston, everything just seemed to run very smoothly. And that could also just be luck. I don't even think that's a Claire, but in Salem, like a lot of the places that you guys had wanted to visit that weren't open in the last 4 or 5 years you went were for some reason open when the three of us were together. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, our powers are synced.
Yeah, it's the three. Who's gonna be our fourth?
North, south, east, west. I mean, we can make it happen. I mean, this is it. This is real. I could quote the whole movie. Should I keep going?
Like other shit too. Like when I nannied, we were walking through Target one of the girls was carrying 2 toys, and she's older. It's not like she's fumbling with shit. She was older. And my thought was she's going to drop one. And moments later, she does. Stuff like that. June 2015, I was riding my motorcycle down San Marcos Boulevard. And I was just thinking, like, one day a car is going to pull out without looking, and it's going to send me into that median. And then moments later, my brakes are screeching to a stop because somebody was pulling out and I didn't look. And like having that thought, I was like, all right, let me just hover over this brake a little bit. Thank God I did, because I would have gotten nailed.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. This one's a little long, but this is a dream. I'll try to condense this. So July 3rd, apparently I dreamt that I was walking down a street. I saw a friend of mine at a bus stop. I was like, hey, why don't you walk with me? We'll just walk together. Cool. And we passed like a cigarette shop that had a help wanted sign in it. And I was like, dude, you need a job. We'll go inside, get you a job. I go inside and there's like a couple people in there waiting. So I was like, we'll just sit. There were no chairs, by the way. So we sat with our backs against like a windowed wall. And I'm like, oh, Anne is here. My cousin's here. So I sat next to her in this dream. And these other people waiting to be interviewed, and Anne and I are talking a little bit. And then I get a text from our aunt, like our mutual aunt. So my aunt texts and says that my cousin Anne had like a good looking guy at her place the other day. And she attached like a photo or a video or something. Yeah. Right. So in this dream, come to find, this guy was sitting next to Anne on the other side.
Okay.
So I'm trying to show her this picture of him without him seeing, which was kind of hard. So it didn't really happen. But all of a sudden, this store turned into this big ship, like this big galleon pirate ship of some kind.
Yeah.
And the 3 of us, along with the other people waiting for this interview, are in the hull of the ship. And it's just like bucking and rolling. And all these people are panicking because they keep saying the captain is drunk. The captain is drunk. And like,
oh no,
people are scattering. And like Anne and myself and like 2 or 3 other people are instructed to evacuate. Like we're like, just get the fuck out. So somehow we end up getting separated and we're still like rolling. The ship is just in turmoil. Yeah. At some point, like we got separated. I found myself on the like multi-level ship. Like it had like 3 or 4 floors for some reason. Yeah. It was very extravagant. And I was calling for Anne, calling for her. I couldn't find her. So at one point I found her, we reconnected. And for some reason, these pirates were after an iPad, like a iPad. They wanted the photos that were on it that Anne had. Oh. So we're like running, we're trying to fight these people and get off this boat. And Anne decides like we're on the top deck, 4th floor, whatever. And she throws the iPad off the balcony into the ocean, destroying it. I know, it's detailed. And that was me summing up what is written. So I texted her the next morning about this dream. Next morning, it was probably the evening. I think it was about the evening. Yeah. She calls me. She's super upset because she was in the middle of discovering something on her boyfriend's computer, pictures she wasn't supposed to see.
Oh my God.
And he has an alcohol problem. Oh. Like the captain is drunk. The captain is drunk. The iPad, the pictures.
The pirate.
The pirate.
Piracy.
Yeah. So
isn't there a name that's like not revenge porn, but I guess like, finding digital footprints of something you're not supposed to find is like.
Right. It was along those lines.
Right.
Yes. She was super upset. So to me, that's like the ocean waves,
emotions
there.
For sure.
And yeah, at that point, like she was rushing out of the house to call me to tell me. So that was just so vivid and poignant that it was like that day that was happening. Yeah. And this was the same year I think I wasn't doing like phone stuff right before bed because I was like trying to be mentally healthy. Yeah. So I'm saying this because like I wasn't checking Facebook. I wasn't looking at anybody's socials at the time. And I dreamed about these kids that I kind of grew up with. They were a little older than me. There were 2 girls and then 2 twin boys. And they were singing and playing music and at an Ocean City, Maryland bar. I don't know, but they were celebrating. Next morning when I woke up, I like got a notification on Facebook that it was one of the girls' birthdays. Aww. Good to know.
So it's random stuff, right?
Really, all over the board.
Yeah.
I was listening to a few different songs. I think was I Fought the Law and the Law one, and one is the Journey song. The lights went down in the city. The lights journey. I don't know. Whatever that song is.
Lights go down in the city. That one.
Yes. My cousin Michael and I used to jam all the time. He's a drummer and I'd play guitar and his dad's a drummer. So we would jam all the time. So I just texted him like, dude, like, I really miss jamming with you. I was just thinking about you, miss you. And he told me that day, he was like, today was the first time in a long time I picked up my drumsticks and played.
What?
In a super long time. I was like, I hope you keep going. Yeah.
You sensed it. You say like when he picked up that drumstick, it was like
my arms were just like
yeah. Your ears were ringing. That's amazing.
I had a dream also about like not random, but somebody I wasn't super close with. He was a housemate I had when I lived with my last husband in Ohio. So a housemate. And he was just like trying to calm me down in this dream. Don't know what was going on. We were at some kind of big party.
Yeah.
The next day, like, and Justina knows, I'll go through and delete shit all the time. And that includes Facebook people that I don't talk to for a long time. So I must have deleted him at some point.
Can we enter the Linda Bennett soundbite? Let's clean house.
Let's clean house.
Bring that back.
Right. So I must have unfriended him at some point because he was a friend of my ex-husband as well. I didn't know how he was going to feel. But anyway, had this dream. Next day, he messages me like, hey, why aren't we friends on Facebook anymore? Dude, I hadn't heard from him in a year. So these kinds of things, I'm like, I know I'm good.
it's just unexplainable. But like still your boyfriend story that you told during the hauntings and exorcisms episode, that takes the cake, I think. Like that blows my mind. Like all the stuff that you felt and the stuff that you saw and like that stuff that you experienced, it was so heavy.
It was. Yeah. And that is probably the only time I've actually physically seen something.
Yeah.
So go check that episode out. And in our interview, you'll hear me talk about something else in my home now that I can't see. I just know. Yeah. But that's the only time I've ever seen something.
Yeah. Where the fuck that came from? I'm hearing things.
Exactly.
Our pets' heads are falling off.
Did you see me today when we were talking to Christa? I know I was kind of moving around. I took my earbud out at one point because I was like hearing female voices. There was nobody at the end. I locked everything up. And I took my earbud out. I'm like, what? Who is fucking talking? That place is not haunted to my knowledge. Right. The Cultural Arts Center is the other place I've seen things. And I know I've told you I've seen like little things peeking in and out. Yeah. But today I was like, what is that?
Yeah. You know what's really creepy is like when you're sitting with your pets in like the dead of the, well, I sit with my pets in the dead of the night because I'm an insomniac. So I'm always up all hours of the fucking night. So like when I'm sitting on the couch and like, tuned into whatever I'm watching on the TV, either see something out of my peripheral or I hear something and the cats react to it too. And that's how I know I'm not crazy. I'm like, I look at them, I'm like, you saw it too? You heard it too?
Yeah.
Right? They're like my little sidekicks, like
your beacon,
my psychic sidekick.
Yeah. I don't like that because Diggity will like look off to the side of where I'm calling him. I'm like, stop it. Yeah. Or the cats look in the corner. I'm like, don't do that. Don't
you fucking do that. Yeah. When I was in LA, I had like 5 fucking roommates, okay? And sometimes, because I'm an introvert, they would all go to a club on a Friday night, and I'd be like, nah, it's cool. I'm going to stay home with the dogs, and like, I'm going to watch. Netflix didn't exist at the time. This was 2009. YouTube. I would just... I would steal my brother's DVDs because I still had a DVD player at that point. So yeah, that's how old I am. Anyway, they would go to the club and my brother had a dog and then his partner at the time also had a dog. So we had 2 dogs in the house, right? So I would sit home alone with these dogs and we're all convinced that house was haunted. That house had some bullshit in it. Yeah. And it was, I think it was a negative. I think it was a bad entity. I think it was something negative. Okay. And I think it lived in my brother's room, in his like bathroom.
I don't like that.
Went through a bout of depression there, and him and his partner, like they would argue, they would fight a lot, and it was something in that room. There was something negative in that room that would make them, and like a toxic relationship is a toxic relationship regardless, but like I think a negative entity can,
if you're adding gasoline to a fire,
exactly, it's like spraying an aerosol can after leaving the fucking stove on. Right. That's what it is. So that's what it would be. And I would wake up to them like just like friggin' fighting.
That sucks.
Toxic relationship. So we were all convinced that there was something in his part of the house, in his room, that was like stirring some shit up. And we all kind of felt some stuff. So the dogs, like I was home one night and the dogs just went crazy. And they were looking at the ceiling and they were just barking at the ceiling, at nothing. And I was by myself in this
I don't like
house and nobody else was home. And it was like the whole house was dark. And I was like, all right, you guys are freaking me out. I threw them in the hallway, shut the door, and I just like watched the rest of my movie with my head under the covers. I was so scared. I was like, what the fuck are they barking at? I can't. So
no.
we had one friend that came over. She wasn't my friend. She was my roommate Eva's friend. She met us at a bar and she like came back to the house with us to have more drinks. And they went into my brother's room by the bathroom where we thought that this little evil entity was, and I think like they were explaining to her like what is going on.
Yeah,
and
like don't go in there.
She must have felt something or seen something or something. I don't know, because I wasn't in the room when this happened, but apparently she like froze up and she darted out the house, started the car, and didn't even say bye, just out of there. She didn't come back to that house again since that happened.
She yeeted out of there.
Yeeted the fuck out of there. Yeah, it was fucking scary as hell. So we're convinced that something was in that house. I don't know what it was.
I did ask Caitlin to give us her Clairs because her family has lived in the same house all my childhood. They still live there. She lives somewhere else now. It is so strong with activity. It's wild.
Yeah.
And it's like a split level house. It's not like a Victorian house or anything like that. And I remember I was doing a project for them. I was painting a mural, like a Notre Dame McDevitt high school logos on their son's wall.
Yeah.
And they weren't home at the time. They were like, just let yourself in, do what you need to do, whatever. I'm in the bedroom, I'm painting, doors open, hallway, no door on the other side. And there's people fucking walking back and forth in that hallway. And I'm getting chills talking about it right now. And she has such good, very scary stories for a child, but like very, like, something is there. The shadows are walking back and forth. And at one point I was like, listen, I know you're here. I'm just trying to finish this project. And right now, at this point, I was working for Life Touch. I don't know if you remember that company who did yearbook photos.
Yeah.
I worked for them and I had like bronchitis at the time. I wasn't sleeping. I was very low on sleep, like deprived. Yeah. So I was like, maybe it's that. Maybe it's that.
Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's lack of sleep.
Just need to get this done.
Yeah.
And like they stopped doing the back and forth thing, but they kept peeking around the corner. So like, I'm just gonna ignore it. And then like the noises kind of started, like the banging.
Oh no.
And I was like, I'm gonna close this door. Just gonna lock myself in here with the paint fumes.
Just brush every single sign under the rug. And
exactly. So it's gonna be interesting to hear her stories, and fit them into these Claire things because she's very sensitive. But anyway, that's the other seeing. And it's always the corner of the eye thing, always the sentient thing. Like two more I had was maybe it's just like synchronicities. I was thinking I could use a haircut and I was like Google searching supercuts on my phone. The next day I was parked next to a woman. I was probably waiting for one of the girls to get out of their lesson, whatever they were in. And we started talking. Come to find out, she works at Supercuts. I'm like, shit, give me your number, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I had another instance was that I had a dream about somebody named Homeless Joe.
What?
And then that week, I think, Erin had a friend come over. I was living there for over a year. I've never heard of this person since or prior, but somebody named Joe, his friend, came over to visit that week.
Was he homeless?
I don't think so.
That would have been some shit if he was like, by the way, here's my friend Joe. He needs to crash here for a few. He's homeless. Right. That would have been some shit.
I have not heard Erin mention. I didn't hear him before or since this person showed up. He could not be real for all I know.
He was another angel. Yeah. See, debatable. But like that's like my whole thing is like if a person comes out of nowhere and their presence is unexplainable and they have no way for you to get in contact with them to verify their realness after the fact. Like they're a fucking angel, and
but at least you like gained some like spiritual knowledge from your person. I don't remember anything about this person.
Homeless Joe was not contributing to anything.
My spiritual growth.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny.
And like, just like I'm dreaming about my hometown. Anytime I dream, I think I mentioned this here before, I will dream about my grandfather's house who lived next door, not my home, which is strange. Like it's like my safe space to be, to process whatever subconscious shit I need to do. But I was dreaming about Pennsylvania and snow was crunching underfoot and I was walking to my grandpa's house. That was really the whole dream. And the next day, this is when I was still living in California, and I called my friend on the East Coast and she said that it had snowed that day. I was like, well, that's sweet, isn't it?
Saying hi.
Isn't that sweet? Yeah. Stuff like that. And that's what I mean. There's so much more that I've never documented. And you and I, even our quote short friendship, like, talking, doing this project, we've had some stuff just between us happen.
Many synchronicities.
I got to start writing it all down because we're powerful, man.
Well, you know what's awesome is that we have it all documented via all these recordings.
True.
Like we pretty much have all these synchronicities documented, and because we talk about it on the podcast, like all the weird shit that happens, we've talked about it here. So it's documented in some way, shape, or form, and we don't have to write everything down because we're talking about it. So that's the proof. The proof is right here. Yeah. So anybody listening in, if you guys have been listening in to us from the very beginning, like you guys know all the synchronicities and weird shit that has happened to us along the way, and it's still happening, and it's just amazing. And like the most recent one, remember when we did the Practical Magic 2 announcement bonus episode when I was like June 10th, what's June 10th? And then
that's right.
What the fuck?
That's right.
Like what?
Log it. Please, somebody make a spreadsheet of all this, please.
Yeah, because we don't remember things after we record them. We have to go back and listen to a million hours worth of content to remember shit we talked about.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to point out, do you remember the movie Premonition with Sandra Bullock in it? Do you remember? No. I love that movie. I probably saw it twice, but I remember both times being like, whoa, like her husband dies in some crash or something.
Yeah. I was thinking of The Lake House with Keanu Reeves, which is another weird fucking movie, right? Mm-hmm. He likes being in these like weird, witchy...
Yes, she does.
Premonition-y kind of movies.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. Remember Forces of Nature with Ben Affleck?
No.
You don't remember that one?
No.
Yeah.
Poor Ben. God damn. Jen to Jen to Jen.
That's right. Yeah.
Poor guy. Oh, I had a few more written down. Actually, not a few more, just one or two. Clairaudience, as far as my grandmother. Yeah. Not anytime. Most of the time when I'm in the kitchen, I've said this on here before, but she'll be with me, cooking with me. And like the first time that I could like audibly hear anything was like, that's too much salt, and helping me along the way. Yeah. So I love that because she doesn't come to me frequently.
Okay.
Another instance was my aunt. We were fucking around in the basement at my grandpa's house, and my Aunt Maria, the phone rang and she picked up. She's like a smartass. She's like, Joe's morgue, you slice them, we ice them. And it was my uncle calling to say my second cousin had died.
Oh my God. That's so morbid.
What?
You slice them, we ice them? What a thing to answer the phone with and get that news. Holy shit.
She has these like slingers. She's really good. And then the last thing was like when I was trying to process leaving my husband, the life coach was like, I was tapping my foot doing something. He was like, what are you thinking right now? And I was like, I have Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac running through my head. He was like, all right, hang on to that. And then, those lyrics are so poignant. Later, we had gone to breakfast or something just to kind of like decompress. And that song came on the radio. And I was like, oh, got someone leaving my husband.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's crazy. Like we could find messages all around us, but you have to tune in. You have to pay attention.
I have been seeing so many praying mantises this week.
That's right. You had one like break into your fucking car the other day.
Dude, but after that, this past week, so I was taking the sun shield out of my greenhouse. And I noticed I think the males are brown, the females are green. Somebody correct me. But I noticed there was one on the shade, and I was trying to wrap it up for the winter. And I was like, okay, make sure he's there. So I'm taking it down, and I kind of threw it out. So I was like, oh no, my friend. And I'm looking, and there he is. He's fine. He's fine. So I pick him up and I put him in our tangerine tree. Totally fine. Yesterday, it's downpouring, and I'm trying to get in our sunroom door in the back door, and I can't put my key in because there's a praying mantis right there. And then on the like glass right on the door is a stick bug. One of those bugs that kind of look like a stick.
Yeah.
What is happening?
All right.
And I sent this to Caitlin, and I'm just fucking scrolling through TikTok.
Yeah.
Some lady with insects is doing a live with her praying mantis. I don't know.
What does it mean?
What do I need to do?
What does it mean?
Didn't we have a patron ask us or somebody on our Facebook tell us about a dream they had with a praying mantis lately? Do you remember that?
No, vaguely.
Okay.
Vaguely, yeah.
I'm like, very interesting. I need to pay attention to this.
Sometimes like I have to like double think like, where did I hear that? Because like, how many different social media platforms are there nowadays? Like, did I see that on TikTok? Did I see it on Instagram? Did I see it on Facebook? I don't remember half the shit. Like, and like half the time I send videos like boom, 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 boom. I like just spam people. And then they're like, your video didn't come through. What did you send me? And I'm like, I don't fucking remember. I don't know what I sent.
3:30 in the morning.
If you didn't see it, it's not meant for you. I'm sorry. It is usually 3:34 in the morning.
That's it. What I know, I'll get up and it's like Justina was active 2 hours ago. Like, what the fuck?
And then you'll text me at 5, 6 in the morning thinking I'm awake. I'm like dead ass asleep because like I bottom out at like 4 is like my tipping point.
Bottom out.
Yeah. I'm like a weeble wobble.
If you want to give us a little segue into our interview here, we'll wrap this up.
All right. Yeah. We hope you guys enjoyed all of our crazy ass experiences. And if you guys have had any of your own experiences with any of the Claires, we would love to hear about them. So please, please, please write us in at magnoliastreetpodcast@gmail.com. Me and Kristina are tired of us being the only two people in these conversations. Well, yeah. Christa joined the conversation, but like, we want more people to talk about this stuff because like, this is cool stuff. Like we want to know who's having all these experiences and what yours are. So yeah, definitely write in. And with that, we are going to segue right into our good friend Christa Rimmer. We're going to introduce you to her. We just want to
fairy dust.
There you are.
Looking like a crazy person.
You are a crazy person.
I know. I went to sleep like at 2:30 and then I woke up at like 6 o'clock. I'm like, okay.
It is early there for you.
What time is it there right now?
7.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm not a morning person at all.
Oh, we're so sorry.
Thank you for doing this with us.
That sounds great. And I'm like, skidoo.
Well, you know us and we're super casual. So it's all good. And anything that we need to edit out is totally editable.
How are you? It's been a while.
Good.
How was your summer? Busy?
Arizona.
Oh yeah, it's probably so freaking hot over there.
Hot. Well, I was supposed to go to Scotland because his brother's daughter got married in Scotland and everything was paid for. I mean, it was a crazy trip, like staying in a castle, going to Rosslyn Chapel, like they rented the Rosslyn Chapel. I mean, crazy.
What happened?
The kidney stones. I was too scared. At the end, I was too scared to fly on the plane.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I think it's the sepsis. Like the sepsis probably scared me. When I had sepsis in December, it scared me. And so then I was like, I'm going to be on a plane. It was like 5 hours, I think, to like 4.5 hours to Chicago. And then it was like 7.5, 8 hours to Edinburgh. And I was like,
it's a lot.
That sucks. I'm sorry you didn't get to go. Are you thinking about rescheduling or it's just not going to happen?
He went. And so I was relieved, I think was the word. I had like a panic attack. Like I've never had one before, because we flew to New Mexico because flying can cause things to happen.
Yeah.
And I had a panic attack like 3 weeks before. And as it was getting closer and closer, we canceled the ticket like 4 days before.
Oh.
And once he was gone, there was no way I could go. Then I felt relief.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I love Scotland, but I was like,
yeah.
I like to live.
Yeah.
I want to
self-preservation.
Krista wrote a whole piece on Scotland back when we did the Aberdeen. I remember you did like the whole write up on your last trip to Scotland, which was really funny.
What year was your last trip? When were you last there?
2014. It would have been 10 years. Yeah, 2014.
Oh my gosh.
I love everything about Scotland. And like when I'm there, I don't know if you've been to places where, and I'm sure people in Scotland hate hearing this from Americans, but but like I felt home. Like it felt like I could live here. I felt home. And some people feel that for different places. And obviously, like when I was doing the past life stuff a lot, 2012, a lot of it would go to Scotland because I was attached to that. So that's where it was going, was into Scotland.
Right.
Your heart is there. You just felt plugged in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Alaska had something too, but Scotland just felt great.
That's like
But
Salem
not
for
great
me.
enough to die.
I want to live there.
Yeah. No,
Right.
I would like want to have like a cottage there and be like, I want to live there for the summer and be like, and all of a sudden I'm an author, but like, I'm like,
You have it all planned out.
Right.
yeah, I'm an author now and I can write books and I'm going to go there and write it off. I don't know. It was just,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
have a little cottage there, like right
Oh, I want a
in that
cottage.
August, September, October kind of where it starts to get cold there.
It sounds so nice.
Yeah, like the cottage, like
Yeah. Just have a
like
nice little
like a little
escape.
witchy flower garden outside.
Like
Totally.
Maria, right?
Storybook.
Like Maria's
Exactly.
cottage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're excited to talk to you today because this is like a topic of expertise for you pretty much, right?
Yeah.
And you help us put these notes together. So thank you for that. So I guess we'll just do a little bit of an intro for you and then we'll get into it. So today we are talking about clairvoyance with the one and only Christa Rimmer. Okay, so Christa, I pulled this little intro for you from one of your old Aberdeen bio little sublines. I don't know if you want to add to any of these credits since then because it's been 10 years, so I'm sure you have a lot more stuff to add to your repertoire, but this is what I have for you, okay? So Christa Rimmer lives in Mesa, Arizona, where she attended the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. She is a certified clinical hypnotherapist, a certified life coach, and certified aromatherapist. She uses a variety of techniques along with compassion and humor to assist her clients in overcoming obstacles, reducing stress, finding relief, and achieving a more balanced and meaningful life. She is an expert on all things residing in the paranormal and spiritual realm, and most recently, she has signed on as Magnolia Street Podcast's resident researcher, and for all of her time and efforts helping us put these notes together, we extend our deepest gratitude. So without further ado, we welcome to the show and the neighborhood here on Magnolia Street, Miss Christa Rimmer. So Christa, was there anything else that was not in that intro that you've done in the past 10 years that you want to add to that?
I would say mostly that when I started off in hypnotherapy and that quickly descended into spirit attachment is mostly what I do with hypnotherapy, but it's so different what I ended up with from where I started because it just evolved. It's not anything I was specifically taught. It's just, you find something and then you find your way of dealing with it. But technically, yeah, that's how I started with hypnotherapy and aromatherapy is more like my personal thing.
Right.
But I will use it with clients if I think it can help them. And of course, life coaching. I didn't know it was going to be life coaching for people that weren't alive. Dead coaching.
Right. Yeah.
Dead coaching.
Dead coaching.
But that's kind of like, that's exactly, how it started and it kind of just like evolved.
Oh, yeah, it's like life just takes you on its own little rabbit hole adventure. It's how that works out.
Right. You have no idea how you're like, oh, I kind of get an idea of like, how I got here.
Yeah.
But when you really think about just like how you guys, how you guys started, what you guys are doing and how that evolved. 10 years ago, you would never even thought like, how do I get to this point or how do I get there?
5 years ago, right? Like,
right. Totally.
This didn't exist even 5 years ago, which is crazy to me.
How long ago did you start in the hypnotherapy and you just watch it progress? How many years have you been doing this?
In the hypnotherapy, I started school in 2012. It's supposed to be a 2-year program, but different things happening. I pretty much wrapped everything up in 2015, but 2014 is when I started practicing and doing hypnotherapy. 2013, because like once when I started, people were like, oh, do me, but I wasn't certified or anything, but I would say like 2013 really.
Yeah. Okay. Before we get into, I guess, the rabbit hole of all of this, can you just explain for those listening who might not know what hypnotherapy is? Can you just explain a little bit about what that is and what a typical hypnotherapy session looks like?
So hypnotherapy is not like you're not under hypnosis. You have complete control over your body. It's just like that space between sleep and awake where you can touch into the subconscious mind. Because the subconscious mind runs so many things that you do that you're not even aware of, that it's just taken over. It's just autonomic. It just does it on its own and you don't really have to think about it. However, in a lot of my sessions, I found out it's not always for your good. Like it wasn't for your good at one point, but then it no longer serves you, let's say. And as an adult, that childlike approach to way of handling something that may be in your subconscious mind is not something that's serving you as an adult. So when you go into a hypnotherapy session, people will say, oh, I was sleeping, I was this, because they'll feel in a space of a session, maybe like an hour long, you could feel like you got the best sleep of your life because you're so relaxed. And even like when people do meditations, like for 20 minutes, the benefits of meditation is basically self-hypnosis, like you're not hypnotized or whatever. You're under hypnosis, and it's so good for your body, healing and mentally, and it gives you like you had like a power nap, a 20-minute, it could be like a 2-hour power nap. Well, that's a nap. I guess it's not a power nap, but yeah. And through hypnotherapy, you're going into somebody's subconscious mind and help them I haven't done traditional hypnotherapy for so long, but how I started is you can go in and you can resolve some issues that might be there and why they're there, why a person has addictions. A lot of my stuff, because I said, I'm not doing addictions. And then it's just, I'm not doing suicide. That's all I got. So
wow.
Because you don't say no to the universe. So I said no. And they're like, but you can go in and deal with trauma. Like, cause a lot of times with traditional like talk therapy, you're talking, and you're trying to get to why is this happening, and it could take a long time to get to the root. But with hypnotherapy, you just go bang, you're right into the root.
Wow.
Because you're talking to their subconscious mind. You don't have to deal with the conscious person
filtering and like you're
right.
weeding through like a pile of like
the narrative that they've told themselves for so long of why things are the way they are. And it could turn out that like they have no idea, why things are the way they are, why they might be afraid of something, have an irrational fear of something. It could have been a rational fear at one time. They just don't remember. And so it really helps with trauma. It helps with addictions. I mean, most of my stuff was trauma-based is what I would say that I dealt with. But hypnotherapy can be a really fast way to get to the root of the problem by just going straight to the subconscious mind. Now, everything I'm saying is not what everybody might say. This is just what worked for me, how I interpret it and how I worked with it.
Right.
But you're not hypnotized because people say, I don't want to be hypnotized. I want you to control my mind, or, and
there's probably like, a lot of misconceptions around that. So how do you get somebody who's kind of like has reservations about that modality? How do you get them into that kind of place of relaxation where they can let you in and trust you to do what you're going to do?
Most people, by the time they get to questioning it, they've already done some form of meditation. And I said, all this is like a guided meditation.
Okay.
And then they're like, okay, because I guarantee they've done some crazy stuff over on YouTube that they've listened to, because I know I was. Oh, let's do past life. Let's do this. When you were a teenager, I bet you guys did, some crazy stuff at sleepovers. So, Ouija board, like stuff that I would never do. So it's just a guided meditation. And I said, you can always open your eyes. You can always get up. You're going to have full control of your body. You will know everything that's going on. I can put them in a low level to where you can respond. You can always come out of it because you always have free will. There's nothing that I'm going to say or do that's going to remove your free will from you. You'll be able to respond. You can sit up, you can stop. You'll be able to do all of those things. And I go, it's just a deep relaxation, like a guided meditation that I'm going to work with you and we'll find out what's going on with you. And we use hypnotherapy. And at this point, I would say I mostly use very light level because I need them to be able to speak.
Yeah. You mentioned Ouija boards. So I guess that's kind of a transition into kind of like where you shifted to is more like spirit release, spiritual attachment. So can you kind of like explain how that differs from the hypnotherapy and how you kind of arrived in that spot?
That was my question also, like from hypnotherapy to like clairvoyance didn't sound like a straight line.
How did you make that?
Nah. Well, and like sweet how everyone calls it like Hogwarts because it's not just you go to for hypnotherapy. I mean, your very first class was about intuition and how you build up your intuition and all the different levels of that. So you learn all sorts of different modalities. But so like hypnotherapy, the best teacher ever, Linda Bennett, is at Southwest. So I'm going to give her a plug.
Linda Bennett.
Linda Bennett.
Shut the front door.
Let's clean house.
Why?
That is a character in Practical Magic.
That's a character in Practical Magic.
Oh,
That's crazy.
She is the best teacher.
Wow.
She is my hypnotherapy teacher. And then you have so you have your main hypnotherapy, and then you pick ones that you want to enhance. So you can do I did like addictions. You can do past life. Of course, I did past life, and then spirit releasement. There's different things that will come, like emotional freedom technique, EFT. There's different things you can learn that I learned all at the same time. But spirit attachment was one of the classes. Like once you've gone through one, because there's different levels of hypnotherapy to become certified, you can do these extra classes, and spirit attachment was one of them. Now, the way she teaches spirit attachment, I do think her and I do spirit attachment in a similar way, but from what other people took from her class and how they do it is just not how I do it at all.
Okay.
It was funny because my very first class with her, I asked her, because when I went there, I said, I don't want to do any of these touching things. I don't want to do a massage. I don't want to do anything that touches. My very first class was polarity, which I go in and there's massage tables. And I'm like, oh, and I was like, I hadn't done anything in this realm of spiritual stuff at all. And then somebody asked, is this clothing optional? I'm like, all right,
I'm out.
I'm out. And that was on Friday. And then Tuesday, I started her class. I said, can you just tell me which ones don't involve touching?
Yeah.
She's just like, this is hypnotherapy. I said, I need to know I need to pick some of these that I have to do for my degree, which ones don't involve touching. And she just looked at me and she goes, you know what? You're going to be really good at spirit releasement.
Oh, wow.
I recommend spirit releasement. She picked that from the very first day that I met her. I couldn't take that class. It didn't fit into my schedule until 2 years later is when I finally was able to take the class.
Wow.
And in spirit releasement, you do hypnotherapy. So you take them down. So like you have them do your normal thing about having them relax, but you don't take them so far down into hypnosis that they can't speak. You want them to be able to speak. So it's more like a low level hypnosis, but enough that they are able to relax. And you see if they have any spirit attachments. So it's like, how like a house is haunted. Well, a person can be haunted, so to speak, in the same way. So I started off with hypnotherapy and then I went to that. Well, then after I took that class, like every single time after that, people would come to me for other things like, smoking cessation, to stop smoking. Every single time it was an attachment, ended up talking. Every single time after I took, like it was waiting for me to know how to talk to them. Because once I had awareness of it, then they had awareness of me, let's say, and it was like their way to move forward.
You were a magnet at that point.
Yeah. They finally got your number.
How do you kind of like ground and keep the voices out? Like I got office hours ghosts. Like you can't be tuning in every minute, every hour, whenever you want. How do you let them in when you want to let them in, and how do you get them out when you want them out?
At the beginning, it was all very fast. I mean, it's always there, but it all started very fast, like, and not in your normal kind of way. But now, I would say now that I've kind of like turned it off because it was really loud. Because if you don't answer, like when I would go to hospitals, if you don't protect yourself when you go in or consciously be aware of your surroundings, I would leave and I would feel like it almost felt like bruises all over my body, like tapping. And so I would feel bruised, and I didn't really understand like why the protection was so important. And I was kind of like, la la la, I'm Christa. And so and like I don't need to protect myself, but I ended up with bronchitis. Like I did this thing. It was just I was doing toe reading, and it was for nurses. It was a benefit our school was doing to help nurses at this one hospital. And I was doing toe reading, but I don't do toe reading like any way that I was taught. And so I would just use that as a medium for me to like get hit, as I was talking to them, like of things that was going on in their life. But I was also getting hits from all the spirits that were in the hospital. And so then I got pretty sick after that one because I was only supposed to be there for 2 hours. I was there for like 8 hours that day. Everybody was gone. They had taken down all of the little board, the little separating dividers and everything in this hallway that we were in. And I was like the last person there with this one person. It wasn't smart because I was tired at that point. And then you're just, a vessel. And so what I learned was you have to actively think. And even now, like before your feet hit the ground every morning, when you're laying in bed, before you even get out of the bed, if you're doing these kinds of things, you should make sure you're protected. Anybody should make sure they're protected. And I just do like a bubble of light around myself and only allow things in that are for my highest good. And so, surround yourself with protection and don't just be like, okay, God, you got me this, you got me. And because I've tried that, just saying, okay, God, you just know that I'm going to forget. So why don't you just, always protect me over. No. You got to be actively involved in your protection.
You have to constantly be checking in. And
it's like having the alarm system, but you got to set the code like daily.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, yes, but only allow what's in for my highest good. In one instance, they were actually able to physically take over my car.
What?
And so in that situation, I was definitely not protected. It's not just a matter of, oh, you're hearing them talking to you all the time. I've always been pretty good about that because I'm not going to hear you now. So it would just turn off. What I have to protect myself is from the physical stuff that they can do.
Please tell that story. Like, what happened with the car? Like, how did they get control of your car?
So I was working with a client and she was just having like a sugar addiction. And so that's why I was going to work with her. And she said she had an attachment, but a shaman helped release the attachment. And I was looking at her and I don't see the attachments. I sense the attachment. My clairsentient. I sense that they're there.
Yes.
And so I could tell it was like they removed the attachment from inside you, but it was still, it had its finger on her shoulder and it was just sitting there on her left shoulder.
I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
Yeah, like your brother, like punching each other in the back of the car. And it was like tag. And it just, its finger was just like touching her still. And I'm like, oh, but we weren't working on the attachment. We ended up doing something called parts therapy. So I said, like a dum-dum, I said, because a lot of people that practice spirit releasement, their whole goal is to release the spirit from the person. And that's their client. You're my client. I got to get the spirit attachment off of you. I don't do it that way because I think you need to help the attachment as well. Because what happens to that attachment, it just goes off somewhere else. When really the whole point that they
Avi's worst fear.
Yeah. It'll just find another hole, and so you want to help them cross. Yeah. You want to not just leave them. And so I have a hard time with like that side of spirit releasement where people just, oh, you're good, you're solid. But then the attachment, more times than not, it was a person and you want to help them too. So I just said to this person, and I'll just say his name's Bob or whatever.
Can we call him Jimmy?
Jimmy, I'm going to help you later. You can come with me. You don't have to stay here anymore. You can come with me, but I'll take you home. So I'm driving home from her house and I can hear him in my head. And the way I hear is not another voice. Only one time have I heard a totally different voice in my head that wasn't me. And so I hear and I put quotes here. And it's usually behind like my right ears where I usually hear it. And I hear, this is how I died. I could sense what happened was he was on a motorcycle and somebody ran him off the road and he went down the embankment and went straight into a brick wall and died. So he was telling me that. And at the same time, I was going off the off ramp to get to my house and I'm, going slower because it's a red light and my car starts accelerating and I couldn't stop the car. And I'm going down the off ramp and my foot's on the brake and the car is accelerating. And I'm like, no. I said, you don't need to show me that I'm going to T-bone some car up here. If I go through this light and hit a car, no one's going to be able to help you.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, so you need to stop till I get home. You don't need to show me. I can see it. And I think it was his panic of he was reliving going down this embankment, crashing into the wall and dying. I said,
I got chills.
Yeah, you don't need to show me. I got you. You don't need to show me. I understand what happened to you, but let me get home. Let me get home. And then all of a sudden, the car started braking. So
that's so scary.
So then I was like, okay, note to self. Don't invite them. Like, be very clear that
office hours.
Yeah, there's office hours, and do not allow them to take, because it wasn't he took over my leg or something like that, because my foot was on the brake. And so you have to be very aware that when you're dealing with attachments, first of all, they may not trust, because look, he already dealt with a shaman that helped her but didn't help him.
Right.
I think because I kind of focus more on the attachment than I do on the actual client that's paying me. I think that's why I'm more aware of it. And I don't say that is a bad thing for, the shaman helped her, she felt a lot better, but it didn't help the attachment.
Right. Yeah. So, I said we should call him Jimmy because Kristina, do you remember we both just re-listened to our Jimmy Angela character analysis, and we had a theory that he was a body jumper, like his spirit would just move from one body to the next.
Yeah, nobody's helping him out.
Yeah.
He doesn't really deserve it, but that's exactly what I'm hearing, right?
Right. Yeah.
And they can jump like when you're drunk, and like a bar is very popular to get attachment at bars because you're vulnerable. And so a lot of the people are drunk. There was a guy that saw somebody like had a heart attack at the bar, so fell over, and he said he saw something leave the guy's body because he was drunk. He was more
susceptible.
Susceptible and sensitive to the fact that the guy, was happening. I saw something leave his body, like kind of like a greasy, like an oily kind of figure leave the body.
Yeah.
And because the attachment was like, oh, okay, I'm done, and left the body.
Oh, wow.
So they do jump for reasons why some spirits say. One of them is, they want to continue living the life that they were living. And if they were in an active state of addiction when they passed, well, then they're going to find a vehicle that can help them stay in that space of addiction.
Wow.
Right. They're just like comfortable in that cycle. They don't want to break from that.
Right.
Yeah. So how do you help them finally, I guess, cross over and come to the realization that they're dead? They need to cross. How do you make them come to that realization?
Because a lot don't, like, especially the children, they're confused. They don't realize that they've passed. Lots of children.
They're confused probably, right?
Yeah, they don't know. They're wondering where their parents were. If they pass without their parent, they're told not to go. Or even sometimes when the parents have passed, they couldn't find their parents, so they don't cross. I would say that most of the ones that have passed that I've dealt with are aware. Unfortunately, a lot of the ones that I've dealt with, and I say unfortunately because it's so common, a lot of attachments are attachments that have committed suicide. And so they attach to somebody because they felt like they're too scared. Because when I put somebody under like hypnosis and I'm talking to them, we find the attachment through the process. And, I have them relive like a happy memory. And then I take them to the day that they pass. And I said, did you see a light? No, there was no light for me. And every single time it's because they didn't think there could be a light for them because they had committed suicide. But every time there is a light, they just had their eyes closed because they didn't want to see that there wasn't one. So they close your eyes, like so kind of like being in denial of it. Yeah, it's terrible. And so I just say, no, there's a light there. And usually there'll be some loved one that can help them, connect to them. But they keep their eyes closed or they turn their back.
Okay.
Almost
choosing
every
not to see
time. Because they're afraid to see if it's not there. But it's always there.
Yeah.
It's always there. And they're not trying to be like a negative thing on the person. But even if you have the best attachment in the world, it still drains your energy. And I'm not talking about, and I could be talking about like some people just have something that's at the top of my stairs that goes from the library area to my room. And sometimes I can feel one around me, but I'm talking about attachments inside, not like straight up possession, but there is harm being done regardless. It's draining your energy. It's like a car battery charging two cars. So you have half of the energy that you should have. And then I'm talking about the nicest attachment in the world. Something that doesn't need, it's just attached to you because it felt comfortable, but isn't doing anything.
Right.
It still drains your energy.
Of course.
Right.
And that's like usually not the case. Usually, let's just say you have a child attachment. Well, child attachment has childlike ideas. So you might have some very impractical ways to solve things, imaginary friend. When you were a kid, probably had an attachment, and if you ever had anesthesia when you were a child, say for teeth or for tonsils or for whatever as a child, you probably have an attachment. And that attachment is going to be a child because a 4-year-old, when they're under anesthesia and they're calling out for help, some 40-year-old dude comes along, they're going to be like, but a child in the hospital, like, okay, somebody that they can look up to. And I always think of like Rugrats, how they looked up to Angelica. She was like 4,
Yeah.
So like, that's the same thing. Like if a child is 5, they're going to look up to somebody that's maybe 7 or 8. And when that child is 7 or 8, they're going to help them. But eventually they can no longer help them because you're 10 years old. So sometimes it's not you calling an attachment. Then that 7-year-old realizes they can't help you. They call in an older attachment. And so on and so on.
Wow.
So by the time you're in your 20s, you may have several attachments.
Holy shit.
Is there ever a case of an attachment being able to like transition out on their own without guidance? Yeah.
I think that they can. I do believe that they can because I've had some where I've been talking. I'll just talk with somebody. Like when I do like my pre-interview, I'll talk with them. And sometimes that just helps them realize that, I can go. That they'll like, just by me talking, they can realize. Yeah, those are the ones that are just kind of like, I don't know what's happening here. This is weird. But
like, I didn't know that was an option. Okay.
yeah.
Bye-bye.
I'm like, no, you can go. And then sometimes when I'm doing like a hard one, I say if there's any other attachments that are ready to leave, grab their hand
Oh,
and help them cross
Buddies.
over because they have loved ones over there as well. And but like the children, even if they're just draining you, a 7-year-old's advice is not going to be the same as an advice you would take from like, somebody that's an adult. But then there's the worst case scenario. So say you just went to the bar with friends and you're not an alcoholic or anything like that. But actually, if you're drinking, have an alcoholic jump in on you. Then all of a sudden you have a weird craving for certain things. Maybe you have mood swings that you weren't aware of. And then in the case of somebody that committed suicide, well, you might have suicidal thoughts. And so
Interesting.
that's not their intention. Well, the attachment I had, I can tell that story, but the attachment that I had, that was their intention. But most often is not the intention. Their intention is just that they're just trying to survive or cope and not really understand. A lot of times they'll cry because they don't realize that they've hurt the person that they've attached to. If you were with somebody and they're having thoughts, as soon as you hear the words like, you're not acting like yourself. That's my first thing.
What was your experience with
the Bell's palsy? Was my experience. At the time, I was single, and this was in 2016, and I was talking to like 2 guys, and I remember thinking, I said something in my head, and I laughed, and I was like, oh, look at Christa talking to 2 guys at the same time. And then all of a sudden, I heard in my head, that's because you're a whore. And I thought, wow, Christa, that's rough. I'm like, whore? I'm like, wow. And then I started thinking, what? Oh, that's not me.
Yeah.
That's not me. And so then I was like, who is this? In my head. So now I'm trying to deal with my own attachment. And I'm like, who is this? And then the woman said, who would you be without your face? And she just said the word face. And all of a sudden I felt like this, like what's your trigeminal nerve that goes from your ear out. It locked like a Charlie horse, and it hurt so bad. I mean, terrible. And I couldn't get it to unlock. And the next day I had woken up with the Bell's palsy that actually it didn't heal properly. I got the synkinesis. So like when I'm tired, my face is just more tired and my mouth doesn't, I always had like a lopsided grin, but I got synkinesis where your face, when it heals, the nerves don't all fire together like they were.
Right.
But during the whole process of it, I thought, it'll be fine. Most people get Bell's palsy and it goes away after like a month or 2. But when I went to get the CT scan, because they make you get a CT scan to make sure you didn't get a stroke, I went into the machine and it was going around my head and I heard, oh no, the cancer is back.
What?
And I was like, no, I'm not taking that. I'm like, that's not mine. I'm like, that's not mine. I kept saying it when I was in the machine, that's not mine. That's not mine. That's not mine. But it didn't sound like the first lady that called me a whore. So I was
weird.
like, what's happening? So what ended happening was I had like a Puritan woman type of woman, like from the 1600s. She had a stroke or something happened. I don't know what they might have called it at that time, but she'd had a stroke and her face was paralyzed like really bad on the right side and ended up being permanently paralyzed. And her husband left her and she ended up killing herself. And she was just a nasty woman. She was really nasty. And so I had to have this crazy dialogue in my head and prepare myself for this crazy dialogue because what happened was she attached to another woman. Like it was more recent. Like I think the woman was born in like the 50s, but they had a CT scan. So I'm thinking it was more in the 80s and 90s, but she attached to this woman and convinced this woman. So this woman had a brain tumor, it turns out. So this is all conversation in my head, but like, she had a brain tumor and her face had gone, from the brain tumor. It was only temporary. Wow. She had a husband. She had everything. But the Puritan woman kept saying, your husband, he's not going to stay with you. He doesn't love you because her husband left her. Your husband doesn't love you. Look at your face. Why would he ever stay with you? I didn't see it clearly, but I saw the woman looking in the mirror and she's hearing these thoughts, thinking that they're her own thoughts. Your husband doesn't love you. And her husband was actually very supportive, loved her. But she became so attached to these thoughts that weren't hers, thinking they were hers, that they were fighting so much. He ended up leaving her because he couldn't deal with it. He's like, it has nothing to do with your face. What are you talking about? You have cancer. Like, why would I leave you? Why would I leave you? Because as a result, you got the tumor taken out and you have some paralysis. Why would I leave you for that? But she wasn't convinced, and it caused so much turmoil. He ended up, I can't do this anymore. And I heard that in my head, I can't do this anymore. So that attachment, the Puritan evil woman, was telling her you should kill yourself. And she ended up committing suicide.
Are you seeing like visions, or you're just hearing all of this dialogue?
I would say it's more hearing and sensing it.
Okay.
I always will stare off to the right. I don't see it playing out because it's all in my head.
Yeah.
But if I were to close my eyes, I still don't see it.
Right.
I just sense it. I couldn't tell you what color her hair was, what clothes she was wearing. I mean, she did have brown hair, but usually I don't see what they look like. Like some people are so in tune with that, the seeing part, that they can say, oh no, I see them. They have this. I just sense them.
You sense it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hear spirits telling me things about them. Like I'll hear in my head, but it's my voice. I'll hear thoughts, like, just like a sentence of a blurb or something. But the one time that I heard clear hearing of something was, in 2012, my friend and I were doing like past lives through YouTube, like a lot, way too much. You shouldn't do that. But we were doing them a lot. And I kept going to like these 2 lives. I kept going back to them a lot. I had done nothing. I mean, since I was a child, I would have prophetic dreams and things like that, but I didn't go to a psychic. I didn't do any of those things till 2012. Okay. Like I never went to Sedona. I never did anything at all. But we started doing this past life stuff with my friend, and I worked from home. And one time I could smell cigarettes. I don't like the smell of cigarettes. It was really strong. And they say like cigarettes, and some people smell flowers and stuff, that's a sense that somebody's there. But I kept smelling cigarettes. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on, because it was at the very beginning and I didn't really know. And I was working and I said, I better not get cancer from this shit, like smelling cigarette smoke, because it was that strong. Like I was breathing in. I thought like I was like next to somebody that was just chain smoking all the time, because I could smell it. It was in my bedroom. I could smell it. So I said, I better not get cancer from this shit. Right. And I heard very clearly a man's voice said, no, Scorpio.
What?
And I whipped my head around going, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, because it was from behind me, and I thought that there was somebody in the room. It was that clearly not mine.
Right.
And so I'm like, so then that became, the cigarette smoking man, like from X-Files. And so then I went to a medium, and we were doing this meditation, find your spirit guides. And so when I was doing the meditation, I had these different spirit guides, and I never attached myself to the angel Raphael ever. But all of a sudden, Raphael was there, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" Like I always went to Michael, never went to Raphael, who's the healer. And all of a sudden, there's Archangel Raphael. I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And then all of a sudden, this guy comes off from behind him, like he hijacked Raphael, and then he comes out from behind him, and he goes, "Christa, it's me, Marcus." And I said, "You're not allowed to do that. First of all, you shouldn't hijack an archangel, but you definitely shouldn't be hijacking anybody, my spirit guides. Like, you can't do this." And I remember thinking at this point, I was just playing with all sorts of crap. I didn't do Ouija board, but I did do some other stuff, but like too much stuff. And so I just said, I knew you're not allowed to do that. And I said, you can't do that. So then I opened up my eyes and I was crying, but I didn't know why I was crying. And then the lady who was doing the guided meditation looks at me and she like mouths, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know." And I'm like, "Sure." And at the end, I went up to her and I said, "Can you just tell me who the cigarette smoking man is?"
Yeah.
That's all I said. And then we left and we were outside and we're all talking about the weird stuff we just experienced. And then she opens up the door and she goes, "Oh, Christa, I got the name for you." And I go, "Oh," and then she goes, "It's Marcus."
What?
It's me, Marcus.
Me,
Shut
Marcus.
your mouth.
Wow.
Shut your mouth. But she said it's Marcus. So then that became Marcus. And so I thought, oh, it must be somebody in this current life that I'm supposed to find, like your soulmate or whatever I was, whatever Harlequin romance I was reading at the time. But but I thought, oh, it's Marcus. But it turns out when I did spirit release at my very first class, they have you go through, and if you have any attachments to help remove them.
Yeah.
And guess who it was? It was Marcus.
Oh,
Marcus.
And so I don't
that
know.
Little
we don't
mischievous
know
devil.
because that's a past life. If he was from a past life,
how
could he be here? But because we were doing all of that stuff, we pulled up some past life attachments. And when he crossed over, that's the weirdest part. Is when he crossed over, it was me that met him on the other side from the past life, which I'm like, I don't understand. And I'm like, I don't understand how this works at all.
Right.
I don't understand.
Can we go back to your Bell's palsy for a second? So how did you finally cross that spirit over? Are you better now? You said you still have some, I guess, residual nerve damage.
When I get tired, like my mouth, like when I talk, like my mouth is like not as even. like things that I noticed. And my eye's good. Like, you know, when I first went to a neurologist, and my eye wasn't even closing at the time, and he was like, yeah, after 6 months, this is probably the best you're gonna get.
Okay.
And I just looked at him. I said no, and he goes, what? I said no.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, okay. And I said no, because I can't live with my eye not being, because it was terrible. It was so painful. And so I did a lot of work to get it to be, you know. And one of the weird things is like when I eat, my eye waters.
Okay.
And I'm like, because it's so good.
Is it more like physical therapy work that you're working those muscles to get them good, or is it more like a spiritual work, like keeping things out that will affect that again?
Well, you know, like your body is just amazing, and you can heal yourself and you can reconnect nerves, but physically, without even thinking about it, the nerves rewired, because like the nerves like die. Like I can tell like I have lost some nerves, like most of them just like get bruised and then they get squeezed, because that trigeminal nerve, it squeezes off and it shuts off, you know, to your eye, to your nose, to your mouth. Thousands of nerves are all in your face. And so when they start to come back, some of them, if they heal, they can cross different wires. And so, you know, you'll have certain things that can affect that. But I did physical work. There's different videos like on YouTube, you can do physical stuff, like, you know, massages and different things that you can do to help with that. But you want to make sure you work both sides of your face, so you don't, because synkinesis is when like one side, they should match, and they don't match. Then there's like acupuncture and acupressure. There's all these different modalities that you should use, supplements and things like that. And then spiritually, you imagine the nerves all connecting the way they're supposed to connect. And healing completely, and having them fire together properly. I did a hypnosis for a woman in the UK that I never met. I think she found my video that I had posted, so I did it for her group. But it's all about getting into the nerves and having them heal properly and then rewire properly, instead of like A being to B and B being to A, and then you have some kind of weird thing. It is really like a mental project too, not just physical.
So it's kind of like a combination of both the physical and the spiritual that helped you get to like a good place.
Yes.
Yeah. How long, what did you have the Bell's palsy, would you say? Even
now, I still say that I have Bell's palsy, just because it's not perfectly, especially if I'm tired. Like when I went in the hospital, they're like, oh, you know, maybe you had a stroke. I'm like, oh, that was from 2016. It's just lingering. It's lingering Bell's palsy. It didn't heal completely is what I'll say. But I'm like 90%. But when the doctor was telling me that, I was probably like at 50, 60% when he was saying it's not going to get better after 6 months if it hasn't healed after 6 months. And that's what most people do say. And most people, but I was like, no, that's not happening.
All right. So I guess shifting back toward the clairs, would you say you have multiple clairs? Because we know there's like all different types. Which of the clairs would you say that you possess?
Or utilize most?
Yeah, or utilize most. That would be a better way to frame it.
Yeah. Clairaudience, but maybe it's clairsentient. It's like in between those two, because like I hear my own voice, because I always say I don't want to hear dead people. And so I say I don't want to hear them. I don't want to see them. Like my friend, when she sees people, like she goes, I would not know that they weren't alive.
Wow.
Like, and she's telling me that, I was like, absolutely not.
That's fucking
like,
crazy.
Right now there's a guy sitting over there. I'm like, no.
Have you ever seen them?
I have one upstairs and I have one in the kitchen, but
they're
just like, it's just like the one going up there, she floated across and it looked like she had like something over her head. Like I always call her like the flying nun. I don't know what she is, but it was just a black figure, but it was like a smoky black figure. I started was my dog. I had this woman at my house, and that's the last time I ever did a session at my house. Because she was dabbling and stuff she shouldn't have been dabbling in. And then when she left, I ended up with two spirits here that just don't do any dishes, they don't do any chores.
Get the fuck out.
Paying rent.
You're not paying rent.
Leave. They're like, you gotta go. But they just one goes from the kitchen, like I'll see her at the corner of my eye in the kitchen, and then the other one goes across from like my library, like my loft area, over to the master bedroom. And the dog, she saw her one time and she was like growling, and she hunched down and she went charging up the stairs. And that's when I looked up and I saw this figure going across. And of course, it went right through my bedroom doors, and the dog went bam, right into the doors, because she couldn't go through. But that was how clear it was for whatever she was seeing.
Right.
Yeah. I saw this really cool representation of like maybe why ghosts, spirit can go through walls. And like if they pass away in the house, they're used to taking this particular route. And, sometimes it's just on repeat. And houses, being remodeled, new walls getting put in that used to be a door is now a wall. They're going to go right through that wall.
Right.
Like in the others with the.
Yes. Such a great movie. I can't see him, but it is like, it's not even like a denser black. It's just like a like a
Whiskey,
boom
smoky.
presence.
Oh,
No, it's not even smoky. It's not even like a darker dark, but it's like boom, like somebody else is in the room. In my garage, like the back corner, I tend like if I have to put the cat away at night, like I can see him in my mind's eye, and I try to get out of there very quickly because and it's like almost like close the door and like boom and like just go back into the house.
yeah.
And it's not really any other time other than nighttime, and that could be my brain or it could be nobody's ever died there that I know. Well, actually they did, but not who I'm seeing, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's
Right.
never been like a mist. It's never been a blacker than black. It's just like I can tell you're here. So it's interesting.
Right. So like that's to me, I'm like, okay, so that must be clairsentience, like the sense of it, the sense of knowing. Because like clairaudience, because I do hear and I don't hear like in my hand. I hear it like right here behind my right ear, but it's my own voice. And I think it's because I don't want to hear dead people. So then I hear my own voice.
Yeah.
Because it's a loophole. And so I would say clairaudience, but then there's also like when I'm working with a client, like I said, I used to have clients come to my house. I've had some scary ones and I was like, oh, I shouldn't do this anymore here. But then I found out they were just regular, they weren't demons. I only had one demon. I thought this one could be a demon, but it wasn't. He was able to get up out of the session and punch my wall. And I was like, ooh. And so I put him so deeply down that he couldn't really move for a while. Because I was like, I don't know what you are, but you need
immobilize
to
you for a little while.
You're going to go deeper down to where he could it took him a long time to get up. And I gave him like, because, to ground yourself. And even after meditation, you should ground yourself. Just a small piece of chocolate and water will help ground you.
Oh, good. I'm a chocoholic,
I hear that too.
So I must be grounded all the time.
From my Reiki master friend, she's always like, drink water and have a piece of chocolate after all the sessions that she does. That's so funny.
Yeah. Wow. It's not even like having like just like crazy stuff happen. It's just, to pull yourself back down to earth.
Why chocolate? What is it in the chocolate that does that?
I'm not sure, because I would think, oh, go out and ground yourself in the dirt, but maybe that's not always available to everyone, because putting your feet on dirt will ground you.
Oh, good. I'm a chocoholic, so I must be grounded all the time.
I wonder if your blood sugar has anything to do with it.
Maybe. Kristina, do you think the aunts were onto something with all the chocolate? Maybe that kept them grounded in that house, right? With all the spirits flying around?
Yeah, could very well be. Sure.
Yeah. Wow.
That's so funny.
And chocolate's been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We had a chocolate episode.
We did.
Like way early on, and we were like, oh shit, we opened a can of worms with this one.
No, chocolate's a good grounder. That's probably why they did have it, is because with having all that stuff going on too, like they had to keep themselves protected. And I think because like you leave your ethereal body, it's not so much grounding your physical self. Maybe it's pulling your etheric body back into your physical body. And maybe that's why chocolate works better than like, say, go to the earth.
I've never heard that before. That's so fascinating. You have like unknowingly justified my chocolate intake.
See?
Now I don't feel so bad. It's keeping the spirits away.
Don't blame me. I'm grounded. I'm grounded AF. I'm grounded.
I do love my chocolate. So I guess, Christa, do you want to tell us kind of like, how do you tell the difference between a demon and an actual spirit that was once human? Because they're different, right? Are they different?
Yes.
She's like, oh.
So one of the things is called parts therapy. And so I learned parts therapy. Well, I hadn't even learned it yet because it was on a Saturday and a Sunday. And I took a Saturday class and I had a client after the class. And I was like, hey, I just learned some parts therapy. Literally one class. It was only 2 classes. So it was a weekend thing. But I'm like, let's try parts therapy. So she's like, okay. And like, I'm talking to her. So in that situation, you talk to their younger version of themselves. Usually you have them, meet in a park and they're on a bench and they're talking to that part of themselves that for her didn't want to exercise. And so typically you're going to talk to a younger version of them, maybe like in their teens, maybe as a child. And so when she was sitting next to them, she's sitting next to this person on the bench and she starts shaking, like convulsing. And that's called an abreaction. They talk about it because it might happen. And I was like, I don't ever want that to happen because like it freaks you out as a therapist. And I was still like a newbie.
Yeah.
And so she starts having this abreaction. And I had just not really learned all about parts therapy and talking about this part of you. And I'm like, is it you? Because I'm like, why is she freaking out? Because she's supposed to be sitting next to her version of herself to find out why she doesn't want to exercise. Is it you? And then this voice came out of her body, a man's voice, and it said, no. And I was like, oh, I had worked with this client like a couple other times before, so I didn't do my normal protection because I was like,
shoot.
And then I was like the Pope on Easter Sunday because I was throwing out blessings left, right, over that corner, over that corner, that corner. Because I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was doing. But I was very calm, and I'm like, okay. And then I said, now I want you to imagine that there's a wall between you and this person next to you. And then she goes, it's coming over the wall. And so I'm like, what's happening? And then I just kind of like, I call it tapping in. And so I tapped into her to see what was happening. And then what I saw was her as a little girl, because she says, it's coming over the wall, it's coming over the wall. And I saw her as a little girl in a bedroom, and she's laying in a bed, and her sister is in another bed across from her. And the door is open, like over here on the left, and it's slightly open. There's a light in the hall, but the room is dark. And a person comes in and is like looming over her in the bed. And it turned out it was her stepdad. And this was a blocked memory. So then once I realized what was happening, I just said, okay, he's in a glass case. There's a top to the case he can't get out of. It's a glass case. And then she just kept saying, it's getting bigger. I want you to imagine it's so small it can fit in the palm of your hand. And I knew it was like a gray figure because she couldn't see the figure because it was dark. It was just like this looming figure over her, but I knew it was her stepdad, or I sensed it was her stepdad. And I said, imagine it's so small it fits in the palm of your hand like a quarter, because I saw in the box when I could tap into her, I could see that it was like a gray, like a shadow kind of thing. And so she imagined it was so small. I had not done spirit releasement at this time. And then I tried to like cross him over, and that there was people over there. She's saying they don't want him. They're not taking him.
They don't claim him.
They don't want him. Yeah,
oh
they don't want him. And she's like, no, they won't take him. They say he can't come. And I said, okay, well, I want you to, take that quarter and like you're throwing into a wishing well. And so we didn't even talk about exercising. So she threw it into the wishing well, and I brought her back up. And then the first thing she said when I brought her back up, and I was like, etheric body closed. And I said, waking up like perfectly relaxed, eyes open, perfectly aware. She opens her eyes. She goes, what the fuck was that? Said,
wow. Yeah.
That's
exhausting.
So I need to do a new line. Can you say the F word bum on your podcast?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
So that's what she said. And I was just like, I go, well, parts therapy. But then we ended up talking. So we ended up doing some healing around what had happened to her, because she knew that had happened, but it was a blocked memory. And because I was able to describe the room and everything, where her sister was in the room, where the beds were, she felt validated that it was like I wasn't just putting a thought into her head.
Right.
Sure.
But it turns out, so the next day I go to class and I told Linda Bennett,
let's clean house.
I said, I did parts therapy yesterday, and I think a spirit came through. And I said, but didn't want to take him to the light. And she goes, is he dead? And I said, no. And she's like, well, that's why they didn't want to take him. Her stepdad was still alive.
Wait. So how does that work if he's still alive?
If he astral projecting?
Yeah.
So when that child blocked out the memory, it was like a Horcrux or something. That memory attached to her. So it wasn't an actual spirit attachment. It was more like a
trauma attachment.
A trauma attachment, yeah.
Wow.
And so that trauma was buried inside of her, and she didn't know it was there to release her. That trauma was locked.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was releasing the trauma.
That's an interesting twist, because when you said they don't want him, my mind didn't automatically go to, oh, maybe he's still alive. My mind automatically went to like, okay, so when he passed, did he become a demon? Like, why don't they want him? That's a crazy twist. So
I just assumed, I assumed, because when we talked, then she told me, no, he's still alive. And so I didn't even think like, oh, wait, he can't be a spirit attached. That's how new I had never taken spirit releasement. I knew spirit means they have to be dead, but it didn't connect until she said, is he dead? And I said, no. And she's like, well, Christa, that's why they didn't want to take him.
That would have taken so long in talk therapy probably to maybe unlock that memory. And like you said, this modality is so much faster at just digging through the bullshit.
Yeah. Yes, because there's no narrative, because a person will create a narrative as a self-preservation.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any skepticism or like criticism about your work, and how did you handle that?
From clients or otherwise, I guess.
Yeah, not
Well,
you can do both,
yourself
client or spirit.
Even you yourself will have skepticism. Like I had a client that was very skeptic, and I had put up a questionnaire like when I very first started, and I wanted to have more clients. And I said, have you ever felt like not like yourself? And asking the questions, have you ever had like weird thoughts pop in your head that you're like, well, that seems weird, like something my own weird, a sudden aversion to things or sudden liking of things. Like, why do I want black licorice?
Yeah.
You're doing your job, without even trying, because you're like unlocking this shit in my brain. Like I started a note in my phone like a couple months ago, and I labeled it like dark thoughts. And the only one in there and it was so strange, was I wonder what 409 tastes like.
What?
The cleaning product. So I just locked that away. I was like, that's a weird thing to think about.
Yeah.
So something like that. Gotcha.
So remind me muscle testing.
Muscle testing. Write it down.
To help you with that.
Me. Thanks.
No, but like you'll have like some random, and sometimes it's scary because it's like
not yours.
Like they're evil, weird thoughts.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's a dark or disgusting or some kind of weird thing. And then sometimes you just like file it away. For me, it's like if I hear it 3 times, it's just like when you're watching news and you're like, is that real or not real? But if you see it 3 times, I'm like, oh, okay, that's probably real. Well, that's how I look at it with this stuff. Like if I hear the thought, you're a hooer, she'd like to call me horse. So I heard it so many times. I'm like, I don't use that. I mean, I do use that word, but I say hooer. Like Danny DeVito. So I didn't connect that. Like, that's not my thought. And so when it just came out, you're a whore. And I'm like, wow.
That had malice behind it.
I'm like, the Puritans were kind of judgy.
A little.
And so she was very skeptical. But I said, have you felt more tired than normal? Because you will feel tired. You'll feel, sometimes you might not feel the right emotions. Like if you laugh at weird things or you cry at things. And I'm not talking like crying during a Disney movie, but I'm like, it could be just like not weird, but not the social norm of having an emotion at that point. Like, it could be an attachment. If you're in addiction of anything, you have an attachment, guaranteed, almost always. I would say 99.99% chance you have if you're in addiction.
Awesome.
If you do any kind of drugs, alcohol, makes you vulnerable or not in a awake mental state. Trauma can bring an attachment. It's like what they call it is like a crack in your auric shield, whatever. It's like a crack and like they just like shimmy in. But this woman, she was very, very skeptic, but open to trying this. She didn't know what I was talking about. I just said all these different things. I didn't say, oh, you have an attachment. I just said she hadn't tried hypnotherapy at all even. So we did a regular hypnotherapy session because I said, if I pick you, you get 1 session. But then when her name came up, I heard in my head 3 sessions and I was like, what? And so I was like, okay. So I told her, and she's like, oh, wow. And I'm like, yeah, wow. But, so I'm like, okay, you're going to get 3 sessions because I knew that I didn't know, but something knew inside of me that she wasn't going to get it on the first. She needed trust. And it wasn't going to happen on the first one. So I needed to do 2. So when we did the second one, she had a pain in her leg from when we were in high school together. And she had a pain in her leg that had been there. So I'm talking years and years. So that's probably where the attachment is. If you have like a weird pain that you never had before, you go to some weird, like you guys are going to like little haunty places and then you come back home and your back is hurting, your shoulder starts to hurt. Like you you have a pain where you didn't have one before. You picked up a friendly Casper. And so if you have some weird unexplained pain, you probably pick something up. Wow. And so she had this pain in her ankle forever, a long time, since she was like 15. So we go in and what it turns out to be was a little girl. And the little girl, she was playing hide and go seek with her nanny and she was hiding underneath the table and she was mad about something because the woman said, you have to finish eating. You can't have your doll till you finish eating. And she was mad. So she hid from her. Well, when the nanny or governess was looking for her, we're talking like 1800s. When the nanny was looking for her, she tripped and fell and she hit her head on the wall and died.
Oh.
And so the little girl, she ended up dying of some kind of childhood disease at the time. I don't know, tuberculosis or something. She ended up dying when she was a young girl and she didn't go cross over because in her mind, she was mad at her nanny and she killed her nanny because she kept saying, I killed her. And I said, no, you didn't kill her. I said, she fell. It was an accident. She fell. And so, but the whole time you're having this conversation through another person that doesn't believe in it.
Yeah.
You know, because she's in hypnosis and she's told me the story, what's happening. And like some of it I could like sense. I'll sense it so I can help. Like I can tap in kind of. I don't see like a perfect garden wall, but I sense there's a garden wall. I sense where the table was. I sense where the woman fell. So it's almost like a little touch of all of them because you sense it. You can see it sort of enough that I could say where each thing was.
Right.
So I can help guide her. I knew she was under the table before she said she was under the table. So basically, she thought she had killed her. But when she went to cross over, I you know, she's a little girl. She's like, no, I can't. And I said, no, you can. I said, it was an accident. Nobody blames you. I go, and then you got sick and you didn't know and you were scared. And I said, but she's here for you now. I said, she's like, no, she's not. I said, yes, she is. I said, turn around. And I didn't say she's here for you. I said, no. I go, no. I go, but you can cross over now. You could be with your mom and dad. And I said, just turn around. And I said, somebody's there waiting for you that's going to help you and explain to you everything that's happened. You know, because they've been left here for so long. They need some guidance, like when they cross over. And I said, there'll be somebody there to help you. And it was actually the nanny actually is the one that came and she had the doll with her. And she goes, she has my doll. And then she has my doll. And it was weird because whenever she would talk, it was like this very serious person talking like a little girl, not like my voice, little girl, but like talking like, you know, really young and like she has my dolly and her voice changes. And I'm like,
and this is under hypnosis. She's talking like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very low level hypnosis. She came out and she was just like, she was Christa. She's like, I don't even know what just happened. I don't even know what that was. She was,
So she was aware. So she was aware that she was talking different like that?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
And she's in the whole time in my head, I was thinking, this is absurd. She's like, in my head, she's like, this is absurd. She's then all of a sudden, I can sense that there's a doll. And she's like, and you're having this conversation. Then I hear the girl's voice, almost like I was observing her talking through my body. Like I was standing outside my body, observing her talking to you. And
that was only session 2?
Yeah.
And what happened in session 3? Did she do the third session?
So the third session, we did she wanted to do past life. She ended up in some kind of museum, like an old museum, like in England. And she was down in some room where they were like labeling parts of like, it was like King Tut or something. And she said, Christa, I could like almost like astral projection where she goes, I was standing in a room with like a bunch of like stuff that they would display up above in the museum. And I was down in some like basement area where they label all the different artifacts that they're going to be put up in the museum. And I remember I was walking around looking in this warehouse and I'm thinking, I sure as hell hope Krista knows how to get me back.
Wow.
Because she was like, what the actual hell is this place? God. So by then she was good to go. She was
made a believer out of her.
She was on board. I wanted to know, because you mentioned before that you don't do any client work in your home anymore. Do you have other like hard rules that you follow when you're helping people?
It's just you don't know what they're doing. Like in that instance, when I ended up with these two that don't want to leave and do chores, she brought her foster daughter, and I knew her foster daughter since she was a little girl, since she was 12, and didn't know her at all. I just knew when she went to the foster home, and she wanted help, and she was like 16 years old. So I said, I'll come here and I'll work with you. But the lady wanted to be in on the session because she says, well, you know, she does some of that stuff, you know, and I thought she meant like aromatherapy. You know, she's really interested. She really would like to sit on the session. Well, I mean, if I had a kid, I guess I would be nervous. I mean, I do have a kid, and I would be nervous, but I was like, okay, she can sit on the session, just has to be quiet, not interrupt, because you don't want to interrupt session. So I was doing like past life contract kind of stuff with the teenager, and she was sitting in the chair, and she was like, every once in a while she'd draw on her phone. At one point I was saying something, and she actually spoke in the session, and I just looked at her like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, why were you talking during, you know, your foster kid's set? Like, I told you can't talk. And then at one point she's messaging somebody. So I'm like, okay, she's not making any noise. That's fine. I guess her husband was waiting in the car, and he comes in and he knocks on the door.
What?
And
Rude.
I was like, what's wrong with you people? Like, this is so bad in the middle of a hypnotherapy session to have this kind of nonsense. But luckily I was able to like sink her deeper down for a second so I could like say, you know, all outside noise is blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so then they leave. And then the next day she calls me and she says, something happened to her after your session. And I said, oh, okay. And she's like, I was trying to go into her room, and she's like, no, she doesn't want me to go in her room anymore and go through her stuff. And I'm like, oh, so she got some sense. Like,
Yeah, it sounds
what
like boundaries are not strong in that house.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And then the dog didn't want to go, and the dog was like at the door and didn't want to go inside. So I don't know what happened. I think she got some kind of something entity or something on her. And I'm like, lady, I'm like, I see where this is going. And then she tells me, yeah, I think something's dark in that room. And I'm like, you shouldn't be going through her stuff, first of all. And she doesn't want you in a room. That's okay. That's a good sign, that she's creating some boundaries and thinking for herself. And so then she started talking about the room. I tap in and I can see, okay, there's the bed, and across the bed there's like closet doors, and then there's a window over on the right side, and in the corner there's like a dresser, not straight, but like, here's the corner, and the dresser goes at like an angle to it. So there's like a space in between the back of the dresser and the corner. And I said, okay, in her room is our dresser like kind of like in the corner, and there's a space behind it? And she goes, yes. And I said, okay, well, there is actually something that's a little bit dark over in that area. She says, it's funny that you said that. My son used to have this room. And one time he told me, Mom, you shouldn't worry about me being suicidal. You should worry about me being homicidal.
Oh,
and I'm like,
yikes.
Excuse me? And then she tells me that all of the bushes on the outside of the house in that corner where I was mentioning, all the bushes on that side of the house are dead. Ooh. And then I'm like, okay, well, you definitely need to do some kind of clearing in this room. But then she tells me how she has like a portal in her closet, and this is why you had to like really research people. But there's a portal.
So you're saying that like your other rule, no clients at your house, plus like have it be solely you and whoever is going to be under the hypnosis, and keep all outside influences
right. And, or
in
just
the
don't
office.
Work with children. Yeah. And don't bring that here, because and it wasn't just that kind of stuff, because I've done like house clearings and stuff, and that stuff doesn't bother me. But then she said that there's a portal in her closet, and that spirits visit her in this portal and talk to her. And that's when I just immediately in my head was like, oh fuck. Because I realized I had
you're in too deep.
In my house. Yes. And I was like, son of a and then I said, oh really? And I said, are they trying to cross over? And she goes, oh no, these are people that are already crossed over. They just coming down to talk to me. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that ever. Ever. Unless it's like your grandma or your relative. No. She's like, no, they just tell me about their lives and what they did on earth and how they lived. And I said, they have not crossed over. Why would you come back here? That's not how it works. I said, so what do you do to keep them in the closet? And she's like, oh no, I do protection. And I said, do you do salt? And she was like pausing, and she goes, oh yes, I do salt. And I said, where do you do salt? She's like, oh, around the windows. I'm like, do you do it at the doorway? And then she paused. Oh, yes. I said, do you do it under the carpet? So when you vacuum, it doesn't just go right into the vacuum? Or do you do it every single time after you vacuum? It was just complete nonsense after that. And I'm like, because she wanted me to come over and help clear. I'm like, I will not, because you've created some nightmare situation in your room that is spreading to the rest of the house. Yeah. And brought some spirits here. So I'm like, because it was like a couple of weeks later that I saw the things upstairs and the one in the kitchen. I'm like, no. And so after that, I was like, no more people in my house.
Yeah.
I'm too comfortable to stay.
You mentioned salt. Are there other tools that you use or techniques to enhance your sessions? Like, do you use any physical tools?
So salt you would use like for house clearings. Like people do like they'll do sage and they'll sage a house, but it's funny because they never go to the corners of the house. So you'll see like spirits like pressed up against the corner.
Stuck.
And like pressed into the corner of the wall. So like what I do for clearing is you use bells. I try to help them cross first, because I just don't like that. And usually when it's that point where they're like causing problems enough or somebody would call it, they're not necessarily the nicest. So you go to the corners and you bells. And then I do salt in all the corners, every corner, even if it's like 2 inches out, every corner. So you bells clearing them away from the corners, then salt, and then you can do sage going through. Yeah. And then you go sage and you go around in a circle, doesn't matter, clockwise, counterclockwise, it's all about intent. And then go out the door.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Do you work with crystals at all? I was just curious if there was like a crystal that or you use that enhances spirit connection. That's what my question would have been. Probably
like amethyst, but also because like protection, rose quartz, amethyst, is it selenite?
Okay.
And cool. Just quartz. Or sometimes I'll get obsidian, like put it under their bed. Like if they're having, like I know somebody that was astral traveling, and like the problem with astral traveling is like you're leaving your body and your soul like exposed. And for them, and it's like you need to put obsidian under your bed to like,
okay.
I don't know why, it was just obsidian.
It's your gut instinct. Like that's what that person
like,
needed.
I don't even know what this stone is, but hold on, and I can sense the colors, and I don't even know. And I'm like, hey, you need this, because any of the darker stones are going to be grounding. And that's why I'm like with tarot, like I don't know the meanings of, like, we took that tarot class, like Justina.
That's how me and Christa met, through a tarot class.
I don't necessarily know the meanings of, I don't know the meanings of every card, but like I'll see something and it could be something just random on there, and it's just like, oh, it helps build your intuition is what it does. And I'll just sense something, I'm like, I don't even know why this makes no sense, but I know this is what you need to hear, kind of thing. And the more you listen to that, like a word, like I was talking to a friend of mine, and her mom had passed away, and we were talking, and I was saying something about, do you have a Beauty and the Beast snow globe? Because she really wanted a connection to her mom. Like, is she still here? But we were friends since we were 2 years old. So she, in her mind, I could have just seen the snow globe. I've never seen snow globes there.
Yeah, who knows?
But I could have just seen a snow globe there and just said that. But then all of a sudden I heard the words Raggedy Ann and Andy. And this is like when I was first starting, and I heard Raggedy and Andy, and I'm like, I am not, what the hell? Raggedy Ann? Like, that makes no freaking sense. But then I just said, I'm hearing Raggedy Ann and Andy. And then she starts crying. And she goes, oh my God, Krista. She goes, when we were kids, because she had her twin sister, we used to watch the Raggedy Ann and Andy Halloween special, where the pumpkin cries, the pumpkin seeds.
That's the best one.
We used to watch the Raggedy Ann and Andy Halloween special with my mom. And she goes, and not just that, I just got chills. She goes, I ordered it off of eBay, and it just arrived, and it's sitting on the table next to her chair.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
And
Mama
that
was
what
there.
she needed to hear.
I guess that's kind of a good way to segue into, you mentioned intuition before. So how did you learn to like develop that intuitive muscle? Because I'm sure you got to practice at it, right? It's like something that you have to work at constantly.
Yeah. So because I like hear, to me, it was like when you're tuning in a radio, like the old school radios, and it's like, like first you just hear nothing, and then you turn it on. So, it's awareness. And you're like, you know what, I want to work on this. When you start to work on it, you're just going to hear like, static, as you're trying to tune in. And then every once in a while you'll hear a word, Raggedy Ann and Andy, and then you'll hear like maybe 3 words, and then and then you'll hear sentences, and eventually you're just hearing. Like, and I mentioned also tapping in. So that's probably how do you turn it on? How do you turn it off?
Yeah.
Inherently, I figured out a way, because like you think about what movie Ghost and Whoopi's like constantly. I'm like, I was like, oh, no Whoopi, no Whoopi.
No Whoopi.
I don't want no Whoopi for me.
You in danger, girl.
Yeah, you in danger. And so I tap in. That means I'm like turning it on. I turn the radio on, kind of thing, in my mind. I'm tapping in. So if I'm talking with a person and I'm sensing something, I can like tap into them to see like, where is that at? Like, what's going on? You don't want to tell them, but you kind of want to guide them. But at first it was definitely just like static noises. And the more you trust your intuition, the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
At first I would just write things down, like, oh, I heard this.
I need to start doing that
down.
again.
Yeah.
Because I was like looking at old journals for this episode and like writing down what we're going to talk about. And some things I left out because I was like, that's not clairvoyance, that's clairaudience, and that's not this, that's this. And we're going to try to do all of them.
I feel like it kind of all blends together though. Like the way that Krista's kind of describing her gifts, like she's like, well, it's not really seeing,
It's
and it's not really
synesthesia.
knowing, and it's not really a feeling. It's kind of like all them blended together. So I guess it is kind of like gray. There is no like hard clairaudience, hard clairsentience, hard clairvoyance.
Yeah.
It kind of like is an amalgamation of all of them, kind of like using them all
working together.
Yeah.
But I think I honestly think everybody, I mean, I know it's a gift, but I think it's a gift because you take the time to open it. And the more you trust it. So like with toe reading, tarot reading, with all of those other things, to me, those are just, because a lot of people, you'll pull out some tarot and they'll be like, oh, I'm going to believe everything you say. And really, those cards don't mean anything like what they say. Like if you looked up the meaning of that card, I have no idea why I said that when I said it. It's because I saw this little dog on this picture, but it's not because a dog's meant this back in this time. It's just because, oh, a dog reminded me of this. But I'm hearing dog, or I'm sensing dog is important. Why? And then I'll hear something in my head. It pops up. I kind of use cards to enhance my clairs.
Yes.
I use the cards because it was like just like a tool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll still use the cards. It's almost like a crutch, or if I'm like haven't practiced it, it's kind of just like, okay, use the cards. But eventually you trust yourself so much. I trust myself so much that even when a person is saying something, I'm like, why are you lying to me? Why you always lying? Because I'm like, and when the clients like, because they'll sit there and they'll talk at the beginning and they're giving me their narrative, and I'm just like,
bullshit.
I trust myself more to see. And I was like, and I actually 2012 till my son got out of high school, and I didn't start dating again. I said I'm not going to date anymore. During that time, I wanted to spend more time with my son and be available to him and to be available, because I was raising my niece and my son, and I needed to be more focused on that because they grow up and you don't always have them. So I focused on that. But during that time, I had nobody else telling me, no, that's not true, or no, that's whatever. I only had myself. I was like on a wing and a prayer during those times,
Right.
And so I really learned how to trust my intuition. I was doing this one toe reading, and her toe was dry. So I said, when do you do self-care for yourself? Because her son was autistic, and and I said, I see that your toes are dry. Do you do self-care? Do you replenish yourself? Do you fill your cup? And she said, oh, no, it's just because I didn't put lotion on them. And I'm like, listen, okay. And so I said, it's because you're not getting enough nourishment. You're not replenishing yourself. And she's like, no, that's not true. And I'm just like, whatever. And in my head, I'm like, okay. And she's like, that's not true. She goes, I do lots of self-care. My husband even took a massage class just so that he could give me massages. And I do baths and I do blah, 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 blah. And she's going on and on and on about how she's self-caring. And she was just super irritated with me. and I'm like, okay. And I was just that was that session I did at the hospital. And she was one of the people that came out, and she was just
defensive.
Yeah. And then we start talking. And then I said, so when was the last time you had a massage? And then she goes, oh, it was like 6 or 8 months ago. And I was just like, that is not self-care. And I just looked at her like, you hearing what you're saying?
Yeah.
You just said 6 to 8 months. And he took massage therapy, which isn't like some one-day class, to give you massages. But it took, I was constantly battling with her. So I would let her say what she was saying, and I'd go along with it, but then I'd leave a little seed because she just wasn't ready to hear certain things.
Yeah.
She's like, where can I take this? She goes, I want to learn toe reading. She's like, if you can do it. I'm just like, oh, lady. And so, but she's just like, but she goes, I want to really learn this, like, okay. But I could tell she just wasn't ready to hear. So I planted some seeds, and hopefully she went back and looked at it. That's like one of the things, like, where I trusted my intuition so much that I kept pushing.
Yeah.
Because she was saying, no, I do self-care. So then I could have moved on to something else. But no, that's what I was hearing. You need self-care. You need self-care. And when she, and so even though she was saying, I do self-care, I get self-care, I knew it was not the truth because I trusted my intuition that much. And that's where you write down like things like, I had told my boss that you're going to leave this job and you're going to get a job somewhere else, but it's only going to be for 2 years. And so he got this job. He goes, no, this is my forever job. And I said, no, it's going to be for 2 years. They're going to sell the company and you're going to get shafted. So you need to leave before they sell the company. I go, and I said, take the, whatever they call it, the balloon, whatever, take that payment.
Yeah.
Take it. And he goes, no, this is my forever job. I'm going to retire here. And I said, okay. So 2 years passed, and he messages me. He goes, you're not going to believe this. And he goes, they offered me a balloon payment. What's not called balloon payment?
Like a pension or the severance package?
Severance package. I don't know why I keep calling it a balloon payment. Yeah. The severance package. And they offered me a severance package. If I leave, I get the severance package, but they really want me to stay, and they're going to give me this bonus, this, that. And he goes, 2 years ago, you told me that I wasn't going to stay there. It was going to be 2 years. And you know what? I pulled the 2 of cups.
Oh, interesting.
Nothing to do. I
saw the number.
2. That was it. I saw the 2, and I'm just like, in 2 years, and that's exactly what happened.
That's kind of an example of like claircognizance, like that knowing, just like knowing for no reason. Like, where did that answer come from? Like, where did that even come from? Sometimes you just
absolutely
know. Yeah. It's so weird.
The only one I haven't had is that Clairaudience, whatever.
The smell is the, oh no, it's taste. Right? The taste.
Tasting. I'm like,
tasting.
No.
Oh, tasting. That's weird.
Yeah, that is very strange.
I don't even know what that I had, because I had the smell because I smelled cigarettes. But Clairaudience, I'm like, I don't think I've. Oh gosh, I know I'm gonna probably message you guys in a couple weeks. I'm like
later.
But the clear sense of smell is called Clairsentience. Clairsentience.
I like that. Like saline.
Yeah, that's like when you smell lavender or you smell rosemary and
cigarettes
around you.
You smell Marcus smoking.
Marcus
smoke break.
Marcus.
you're freaking Scorpio.
That's so funny.
So funny.
Yeah, she's like, a lot of people will. They're like, oh, I knew my grandma was around because I smelled her perfume.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people have it. It's just that sometimes a traumatic experience can trigger it. Like when you lose somebody, then all of a sudden you smell them, or you sense that they're there, or you see them. Like I had some where they saw them clear as day, sit on the edge of their bed. And I think different things can open it up. But I think if you try to open your gift, you really just write things down, because it may not make sense at the time, and trust it. And just, and if you don't want to take ownership of it, just do what I used to do and just be like, I'm hearing, or you'll say, I'm not sure if this is yours or not. Or just do that if you feel better. But if you're talking to somebody and you hear some random word, just say, I'm hearing this. I don't know if that's yours or not.
Yeah. That's really like, I've never had that while talking to somebody, but I feel like at night when my mind is kind of like in between waking and sleeping, I get the static and I get the random bits of like words, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Or like a random voice, and I'm like, who the hell was that? Like, I feel like I'm more clairaudient than anything, and I don't know if that has a lot to do with the fact that I'm a songwriter and I get lyrics from somewhere.
Your ear is very good.
I get lyrics from somewhere, I don't know where the fuck, but I feel like that's kind of like where my strengths lie, is just that audience. And
so
like,
I would do night journaling.
Yeah.
And just write down like when you're hearing something. And sometimes like you'll just randomly think of like, how many times have you thought somebody you haven't spoken to in 2 years, and all of a sudden they text message you or something?
Yeah.
If you hear something for somebody, it's gonna be, I mean, I've had to do some terrible ones. And like, I don't want to call it, I don't want to say this, but you'll sometimes feel very compelled.
Yeah.
And like, when I was young, like I would have like prophetic dreams, and I would have to call people I hadn't spoken to for a long time, because it was a danger thing. Either they're in danger. But like, write down the things, or even if you just do a daily, like pull out a card and then just like write down all these things about like what you hear. Just close your eyes, look at the card, and like look at it, and then like if just a word pops into your head, and just write, oh, 2 a cup, and then write 2, whatever comes with it.
Yeah.
Trust what you're hearing in your head, because it's just these, it's little things, and it's just like, whether it's your higher self, I don't know, is it my higher self, is it there's somebody around me that's telling me this thing? And so that's why I'll say, I'm not sure if this is yours or not, but every single time I have heard some, and that Raggedy and Andy one is the one that was the most powerful.
Yeah, that's
because
wild.
it meant so much for her.
Right.
And that if I had not said it, she didn't have that connection that she needed at that time to really feel her mom.
Yep.
And if I had not said it, she wouldn't have had that gift of knowing her mom is there and was ready to watch Raggedy and Andy with her and her son. I mean, she wouldn't have known. So it's very important to just do it. Who cares? I mean, I promise, if you're even thinking about like, they already think you're freaking weird anyway.
Probably. Probably.
You know, be the one that, like, my sister says I'm a bruja, and she'll tell people how I cursed this dude at her work. I'm like,
oh my God.
And when I go there, they're like, oh, you're the one that did the curse? I'm like, oh my God.
Spreading rumors about you.
Yeah. And because I said something and it happened to happen, and I did anyway. But that's how you build your intuition, is listen, open the gift. Look at it. What is it? You ever walk into a room and you sense that something else is there? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know, so there's another Claire.
Okay. This is really weird. I've never felt this before, but like a week ago, I fell asleep on the couch and I woke up and I realized that, I don't know if like the lights were on in my office or I had the windows open and I forgot to shut them or whatever. I came in my office. It was probably like 3 or 4 in the morning. I like was shutting everything down and then I was going to go to bed. I come in my office, the door was closed, so I opened it, and I felt like this weird energy that I've never felt in here before, and I was like, it gave me a chill. I was like, ew, what the fuck was that? And then I left, and I was like, I felt like something was in here, and I haven't felt that since. I only felt it that one time, but I was like really put off by it, and I don't know if it's because I was like kind of like in between, like I had just woken up from sleeping on the couch, maybe still mentally I was in a subconscious kind of realm.
You were more sensitive.
But yeah, I just felt something was off in here, and I shut my window, shut my lights, and I got the fuck out. And I was like, I don't like that.
So the windows in your studio were open?
I don't remember if I came in here to shut the windows or shut the light, but I came in here to do something to shut everything down and then go to bed. But when I came in here, I was like, that feels off. That feels weird. I was like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. It was so weird. I've never felt that in here before. And I haven't felt it since. I don't know what the fuck it was.
Have you cleansed in
that
there
space
lately?
is
No.
space. It
Got
could be
cleanse a
like
little
that.
bit.
But I do open my windows in here a lot, so I don't know. It was very strange. And my cats hang out in here all the time, so I kind of feel like they charge this area. They kind of keep things.
Yeah, cats can see more than
Yeah.
definitely more than dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, cats wouldn't go in there, or they'd be messing with something. So I don't think it's something that's always there, but it could just be you woke up. I mean, because there's attachments also. Like you can have like a past life attachment. Like I mean, it might not even be from you now. So like if you cross over, all your attachments fall off. But like that woman, that the Puritan woman, she didn't cross over. And then the other woman, when she committed suicide, the woman that had the cancer, brain tumor, she didn't cross over either. So the attachment stayed with her. So she was an attachment with an attachment.
Oh my God.
Oh,
And
Russian doll
so
syndrome.
she didn't have to take, I said,
Yeah.
you're going to go. And if she doesn't want to go with you, that's fine. She can just, she's not staying here anymore. But she has the opportunity to go. She wants to just be her way. That's, you know, but she can't be on you and she can't be on me.
Right.
I go, but she
Wow.
can go with you and she can find peace, because she was hostile the entire time. So if they cross over, then it drops the attachment. But like with past life, sometimes you never know what you're going to get. Like, is it a contract? And is it a past life contract that you had in a past life? Like when you, before you come here, you make like a contract of things you want to learn, things you want to do. It could be something from that contract that carries over. It could be an attachment to somebody that was in a past, you know what I mean? Then it evolves into something that's present in today's time from that past life person, because you usually travel with the same group of people. And like sometimes some will stay back and like, you know, then they have, you know, spirit guides, but usually like it's a big group, but like usually you go in the same group. Like I've always had my son in some way, whether a dad or, and there was always an older sister, and like, and I did have a miscarriage before him that was far along. It was 5.5 months, and I had miscarriages after him, but that particular one, I had everything. And in every life, it's usually him as a dad or a brother or somebody. And if I have a son, I have the daughter and an older sister. She's always older. In every one that I've had, if I have a son, there's some where I was like a midwife. I didn't have children.
My friend Caitlin says that she went to a reader and she said, the reader said to my friend, like, your close friends, you only have like 2 or 3. These close friends were your brothers in a past life. And she's looking at me because like, I know I've been a male in my past life. She's like, I know they're talking about you. So that's really cool to know. And it brings me comfort to know, like, we've been around together for a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like why you can, like, you're with people and you're just like, oh, you know, they feel like home. They feel, you feel like, and sometimes they could have been, because think about this though, like, one of the things I had to think about with like my son is, you know, like his father is like who would you choose to give you a hard lesson? Like, wouldn't you choose somebody that loved you or you love? And so to accept that I chose my life, I have to accept that my son chose his life and he chose his parents. So say you're all sitting around a table and maybe there's 100 or 200 of you or something, and they're like, okay, I'm going to go in this life. I'm feeling froggy. I'm going to take this and this and this and this and this, forgetting like what a shit show it was.
Everybody changes it up.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm going for the whole thing. And then you're like, okay, well, somebody has to give you lessons. Now, do you want some stranger giving you like a harsh lesson when you're up there and you forgot like how, you know, the hellscape of Earth? Like,
Right.
did you know, like, so when you're sitting there and then who's going to raise their hand to say like, oh, I want to learn what it's like to be physically abused? Well, do you want the stranger giving you the lesson you don't know around that table, or is somebody in that table saying, I'll be that person in your next life? So not devaluing anybody's trauma or anything like that, but like that's been my experience. My personal experience and my experience is that I think that if you pick contracts of certain things, that probably in some life, the person that you were their abuser, now they're your abuser, you know, or whatever. It's just something to think about or to consider, because I definitely don't want to diminish like people's like trauma when it comes to abuse and whatnot. But it's something that I have learned for myself, and that everybody is here for a reason. And that's why when I say like why they didn't want him to go to the light, well, he wasn't dead. Have I ever had anybody not go to light? I haven't. Even the worst monsters.
Yeah.
Except for the demon, but like there's only one demon, but like the ones I thought this might be a demon,
You're just dark.
dark, dark. And like there was another one that I thought, this one could be pretty bad. That one took like 2 hours, and he had murdered. There was lots of things, but
maybe it was Jimmy.
Out,
no.
Jimmy.
that was
He's
a
malevolent forces.
He's malevolent. He's hopping around. But that one, it turned out that he was one of her, like a son in a past life. Like that was one of her family that followed through different lives.
Wow.
And it was one of the clients' sons in a past life, and so but had attached to her to be close to her in this life, but he crossed. So there is no judgment like that to not go over, and maybe there's judgment on the other side, and there's somebody there that, I always say there's somebody there for you, and there's always been somebody there, given the worst, the
That's comforting to know.
The earth
it's
monster.
Really comforting.
Yeah.
Does the same ring true for like pets? Could a pet come back
their next life?
Yeah.
I mean, I never really tapped into that, but I have seen, like, when I see people like waiting for them, I have seen like a dog there.
Oh.
Because like sometimes I'll tap in to see what they're seeing, because like there's such like, and so like I mean, I'm Christian. The one that I said was super skeptical, she was definitely an atheist.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to have like me talk about different things, and I'm curious, like, how is somebody that doesn't believe, how do they reconcile? Because I just say whatever, and then they interpret how they want to, how it feels
connects
to them. But it helped her a lot, because there was so much love and so much peace when saw the little girl cross.
Yeah.
And what I can tell when the person's crossed, because usually the client will go and they take a deep breath and they go, and they feel like a whoosh.
Oh my God.
Like it feels like air leaving your body.
Yeah.
That's what it felt for me when I helped the woman that had the brain tumor. It felt like a whoosh, like a leaf from your chest, like a whoosh, like air.
Really?
Vacuum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like, I mean, I was doing like scrying, which the guy actually told me, he goes, you never should do scrying ever again. Because I was using it as helping me sleep. And he says, no, don't do scrying, because like you're basically opening up a portal and you're leaving it open so you can sleep. I'm like, but it's so relaxing. He's like, you stop it, because I was scrying on everything, and that's dangerous too, because like, TVs, mirrors, all of that stuff is a scrying tool.
I sigil my mirrors, my TVs, my computer screen.
That's a good idea.
A little sigil on it.
I need to do that.
If you do anything where you have an attachment and you let them go, whenever you remove something from yourself, like or a past life, anything that you remove from yourself, whenever I do hypnotherapy, you always have to fill in that space with light. Because if you don't fill in that space, then something else is going to fill that space.
Right.
So that's just like a warning label.
So is that kind of like closing a circle, like when you're done working like a magical ritual?
Yep. Close it. And like, even like when you do hypnotherapy, you'll say, and when I do spirit, at the end I say etheric body closed. But I always bring in, I'll bring in Archangel Michael, or I'll just bring in white light and fill in all of those spaces wherever the attachment was. Or if we do a past life contract and it's like, and the cord was like in their heart, I fill in that space. Whenever they remove something, I just say, I call in, your higher self to go through, or I call in the angels or whatever to go through the body and look for any mental, physical, spiritual, physical, anything going on in the body that, make sure that there's any other kind of healing that needs to be done, and to fill in those spaces with white light. Just always, if you do any kind of work on yourself, always fill the space with light, always. Because if you don't fill it with something, someone or something else will. That's my black box warning. Like, wait, I gotta warn you, because sometimes people just go off and then they'll be like, I'm gonna do this.
Of course, right? Yeah, especially if like, you're not experienced, or people think it's like fun and games to toy around with the spirit world,
right? Like
or whatever.
The Ouija board is the most dangerous thing in the world. It was a game, it was a toy.
Yeah. Me and Kristina, actually, we went to Salem last September, and they have a whole witchboard museum there, and like there's Ouija boards all over the walls, and there's some pretty like creepy stories like in like little plaques next to each board, like what happened with this board, and like it was pretty wild.
Because I wouldn't even want to play with it.
Right. Creepy stuff. My aunt actually threw my Ouija board over the fence as a kid during a Halloween party. When all my friends were there, she just chucked it over the fence. She said, hell to the no, you're not playing with this in the house. So
and it's just funny, because like people, like, it's like some are just no, and then other people are like, wee.
Right.
And it's just so weird that when you're a kid, you don't really know.
Right. Yeah.
But I know adults that have bought them and they think it's funny.
Right. I think they're gorgeous. I love the aesthetic and I love the look of them, but I don't know if I would actually want to use one?
Like with spirit boxes and things like that. I know people use spirit boxes to talk to spirits. I was watching something they were talking about this, the Estes method, and it was developed at the Shining Hotel.
Is that
what's it called?
Not the Overlook.
In
Is that the
Estes
Overlook?
Park. Is it the Overlook? I thought it
The
was
Shining?
like the Stanley Hotel. They developed the Estes method, which is using those spirit boxes. And I guess from my perspective, I'm trying to like help them cross over, not just wanting to be entertained, I guess.
Yeah.
Is like giving them a voice to speak. Every time you feed it, it's energy, and you're feeding that energy, is making it bigger and stronger. And so you just got to, but the Estes method uses the spirit box. And I was watching this show and I was like, I kind of like in my own spirit box, because it's the same way, because it goes through radio frequencies like AM or FM, and it goes and then it'll spit out a word. That's what it feels like when you start to really listen and hear it yourself. It's like a spirit box. And then remind me that the next time we do talk, because like I had a spirit box situation.
Oh, I want to hear about that. Yeah,
should I just keep talking? Or
we could get into that another time. We only have 5 minutes left on the clock.
Okay, so remind me about spirit box, and remind me about, because I was going to tell her about muscle testing, because it really confirms your intuition. So if your thought pops in your head and you're not sure if it's true, or you should share it or whatever, you can muscle test, and there's different techniques I can talk about muscle testing that really, really helped me with my intuition.
Okay, is that kind of like a pendulum, like a yes or no type of deal?
So a pendulum is an external thing, but if say you're talking to somebody and you're in a session and you whip out a pendulum, they're gonna be like, listen,
what the hell?
Like, well, you're a freak, but they can whip out a pendulum, they're like, what? But you can actually use your own body for muscle testing. So you close your eyes and you stand up and you just say, give me a yes, and then feel which way your body leans. And like mine leans to the front, some people lean to the side, and then say, give me a no. And you're like, okay, which way does your body lean? And then so now you know that forward is yes, backwards or no, or whatever it was when you asked. But whenever you get a no, you always go back to yes. Give me a yes, and then okay. And if it's not working, like if you're standing, and then just cross your arms across each other, because you have energy fields going through your body. Yeah. And so just cross your arms across each other. And just do like, left, right, left, and then do your legs, kind of just crossing the energy fields, and then go back and ask it. And usually that will like reset it, the energy, and then you'll be able to get an answer. So then you can start asking questions like, is my name Christa? And you lean forward. But then when you start to really trust it, as soon as you close your eyes, it'll poof, you'll like,
wow,
before you even ask the question. So like I practiced with that, and I was testing food.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I'm only going to eat what my body says is actually really not just healthy for me, but it's like good food. Like it's not, chemicals or whatever. Yeah. I literally can only eat one type of banana at Bash's'. It was not even like an organic banana. It was an organic banana, but like even the organic bananas at Albertsons I couldn't eat, but the grocery store here is Bash's'. Yeah. It was only that one banana that gave a yes.
And your muscle testing ruled out all the other bananas?
Yep.
That's nuts.
It ruled out everything, like the rotisserie chickens at Costco.
Oh my God.
No. Those ones I almost like fell way back on.
Maybe muscle testing can help us kind of like weed out all this listeria going on in the food right now.
You just like, if you're looking at vitamins or you're looking at essential oil and you're like, is this essential good for me? Yeah. Is this essential oil a good essential oil or whatever? Yeah. And I mean, you use doTERRA, so they're all good. But like say, should I use this one for me? Or if you're trying to like make something for yourself and you're like, so what you can do, or for a client, you just hold it in your hand, hold it up to your heart, and then just like close your eyes and see which way you lean. If you know that forward is yes, if you lean backwards, you're like, oh, okay, not this one, but that'll help you. If you hear in your head lavender and you pick up the lavender and you lean forward, then it's just a way to confirm what you already knew.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
And that will help you trust your intuition. Right. But there's other ways. There's with your finger. The one I use now, because like when a session, I can't, or when I'm talking to somebody, I can't just like close my eyes because they're going to be like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. But there's one with your finger. So like try this, wipe your finger off, your middle finger and your thumb. And so you're just going to like rub them together. Yeah. Yeah. And so rub them together and just say, give me a yes, and feel that texture.
Give me a yes.
Then say, give me a no.
Give me a no. I think the yes, my fingers kind of like split a little bit, and the no kind of like stayed on my thumb.
Okay, so was it stickier with the no?
I think it was stickier with the no, yeah.
Okay, so that's how mine
Actually,
wait,
first we said yes and then we said no, right?
Yes.
Oh, we have less than a minute left, so I'm going to have to wrap this up. Okay. But I know we kind of hopped around a lot, but I mean, you said before, like it's kind of an amalgamation of all the different Claires. It's
And
not
you
just
start in one way.
Christa, can we have you come back on? Because there are so many more questions
I know.
we have, and we want to hear all about your stuff because we have to go through all the Claires. We're going to be tackling them all separately.
Oh,
Yeah. Krista, we cannot wait to have you back. Thank you so much for popping on here with us today, talking about all the Claires, and we really hope to catch up with you again soon.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll talk to
Remember,
you soon.
white light. All right.
White
care.
light. All right.
White light.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye. What did you think of talking to Krista?
I'm overwhelmed. One episode, I don't know how long the edit is going to be, but like 3 hours is not enough to experience and hear all the things she's been through and help people through and help spirit through. So I'm excited to have her back and to have her on our team in our corner, helping us with research is so great.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to get her on the show again. And yeah, we have so much more where this came from, guys. Like today we did a generalization of kind of all the Claires and amalgamation of like all the different ones and kind of how they work together. Because some of us experience maybe one, some of us may experience more than one. And it's like we all experience them in different ways. And I think that's what's so amazing about having any of these gifts. I mean, we all have them. We just have to learn how to tune into them and tap into them and to look for those signs. It's not always one of the Claires. Like sometimes you see something and it's like, oh, I can connect that to that. And it's, making connections that way too. It's an amazing thing. So we just really want to talk to you guys about your story. So send those in.
Always trust your first initial feelings. We have music coming out, hopefully this fall, maybe this winter. So keep an ear open for that. Yeah. If you'd like to help support our podcast, here's how.
You can support us for as little as $1 a month. That's our seedling tier, and that gets you access to our patron-only polls where you get to weigh in on what topics you would like us to talk about next. It also gets you our monthly calendar so you can see what topics we have coming up for the month, and it also gets you a welcome shout out on the show. Our $3 Lavender Bud tier gets you our show notes for each episode in an aesthetically pleasing PDF, our after hours posts, if there's any extra tidbits or behind the scenes info pertaining to any of our episodes, we'll post those along with a blog post or extra photos, and access to our specially curated Spotify playlists. We have created playlists for our WMSR episodes as well as Production Dream playlists for each song episode and more. Our $5 Lilac tier gets you access to our private Facebook community where we host a monthly live stream. Plus, you'll get access to our Discord server where we host our monthly watch parties. And also on the Discord, you can join in on the discussion with other Magnolia Street neighbors via the various interesting channels and threads. And then here's the $8 Rose tier. This gets you access to extra audio-visual content such as a once a month full-length video episode, unlimited bonus videos, uncut footage, cutting room floor footage, bloopers, outtakes, meditations, exclusive interviews, and old home videos from the vault, or spell or ritual videos, and more. It also gets you bonus content to coincide with our song-episodes, such as full-length demo streams of our original Practical Magic inspired music, plus lyric sheets, guitar chords, and original scratch demos, or bonus video performances of our songs and more. Lastly, we have our $15 Wisteria Vine tier. Just like a twisting Wisteria Vine, there's a way for you to stay connected with us, the Stinas. In this tier, we invite you to join our private Marco Polo video messaging app. The app is totally free for both Android and iOS. Sign up with your phone number or email, and we will help you do the rest. This is a great way to chat with each other in a more intimate group setting, face-to-face via video recording. We love to show each other our pets, our gardens, or anything else you'd like to share. And just a reminder that the higher the tier you sign up under, the more rewards you get, because you get all of the rewards of the tiers below it. You can upgrade or downgrade or even cancel at any time. So to support the podcast, head to patreon.com/Magnolia Street Podcast.
Yeah, and there are additional ways to support us and our podcast that don't cost you any money. If you do listen on Spotify, please give us a star rating. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a written review. We love sharing those on our Instagram. And if you're on Instagram, we would really appreciate any reposts or blurbs about our podcast. And make sure to tag us at Magnolia Street Podcast in your feed, posts, stories, and share us with your Practical Magic loving friends. Also have some merch over on our Teespring. The link is in our bio over on our Instagram. If you'd like to DM us there, it's a great way to get a hold of us, probably the fastest way, but we would love to hear your experiences with the Claires. You can send those to magnoliastreetpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. Also, don't forget to give us us a written review over on Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify you can give us a star rating, and we would love to hear from you guys. And real quick before we head out, you posted a questionnaire saying, what do you guys want to hear about in season 3? And we had a couple of responses. Claire
did?
Yeah. Oh, Claire_SB. Claire kind of, look at this. You've unleashed the demon in Claire.
Claire! Oh,
Because what are we talking about? We're talking about the Claires today. So Claire, Kristina just fell over.
that's so. How about that?
How would be doing that?
How would be doing that?
How would be doing that?
Claire, thank you.
So just a little bit on what Claire wants to hear about in season 3. She wants more on the apothecary, botanical products, homeopathy, witchy woo-woo things to make and do. She also wants product recommendations, and of course, more original songs from us. So I'm loving that you're loving our songs, Claire. Also, she said, I think she tagged us in something so she could win a prize. She's tagging you guys in their finished products. You can hold completions and judge best. Oh, I guess maybe she wants us to host more giveaways. She wants to hear about color magic, manifesting, vision boards. She said, I think people would totally have a go at making things and make and give dosages as in recipes, crafts like reef making, best florals to arrange together, cocktails, etc., etc. She gave us a wealth of like stuff she wants to hear about. And then what Penny made, our one of our fans, what Penny made, she wants to hear more about family curses. Ooh. And we have an ancestry episode coming up, don't we?
Yes, ma'am. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect opportunity.
So we have all the family stuff coming up. We have the auras coming up, which was also a request. So you guys are right on track here along with, I think we're all on the same wave here, which is really cool. So yeah, all that and more coming up. And we're still rocking season 2. We got quite a few more episodes in the docket before we head on season 3.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready to close this out?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Kristina.
I'm Justina. We'll see you next time.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you go